for game number 1. The Gyos ring out for a second or two, shall we? A little bit of a look there at Bayet. Won't find necessarily what they're looking for. Chasing arrow. Also goes wide. Mid lane. Climber trading out well with Saber here, who's been dropped to about a third. I think that 20% HP. That's going to be an early reset. Won't be here, I suspect. As our minion waves crash. Won't have control over this mid lane particularly well. Could allow Climber to do some interesting things here. We'll note again, we've got the exhaust tech from the Gwen into the phase rush of the Rumble to try and manage that phase rush. Nothing else here that's super weird. Phase rush on Poppy's fairly normal these days in the jungle. Too much else here to keep our eyes on. The exception, of course, of Clear being in lane that little bit early. We'll get the level 2 first. We'll force Rise back. Junhao could theoretically look for an invade here and is going to do so. Has done Raptors who come right across. Not doing his red buff. Looking to get some steals off. So they know there's that ward on the red buff. Trying to get some value here on the steal. Good chunk here from Sassy.
Got a hot swap out, Sam. You got stuff you gotta do, quite.
Need some painkillers.
You can go do that, mate. Let's get ourselves into this other one. You're gonna get a little bit of a tandem. No, the other one. Baton pass cast here. How's the volume for everyone over there? Okay, cool. The clean feed. So this is the thing which we learn when we're producing this kind of thing. The clean feed changes volume quite a lot between locations and between days sometimes. Ooh, I wonder if there's a bit of an audio desync there actually. Junhao ganking topside, level 3 to level 2. Sassy's not gonna get himself that much of an easy escape here. Doesn't have an exhaust, flashing forwards. First blood, a little close on the turn back towards Egen. It'll go towards Ultra Prime. Climber on topside now. Can he get himself the wall stun? Does have the flash, doesn't quite get the wall stun, and the Q's a little bit wide. Does get the first part, but because he doesn't get that clean kill, he goes down at a 1-for-1, giving a kill over towards Junhao. 2 kills over towards him in this first play now. Teleport towards topside means that at least Sassy will be able to fix the wave before Egen comes back in. I'm gonna have to quickly reset the clean feed. We do have a bit of an audio desync, folks, just a little bit. That means that we'll just be doing this real quick. No one panic. No one panic. No one panic. There we go. Audio back on track. The second time we panicked today. Wait. Was it reset before? Hey, Angie, good to see you. Oh my god. We do need to have like a hidden image behind the clean feed where it is just like Nocturne or something. Flash behind Egen now. Well, this could be a better kill for them. Good damage back. Gets the phase rush out actually. Good escape there from Egen. Managed to get himself that phase rush to get himself out to safety. The scrap shield giving a little bit more room to work with. Now he's not going to go... He doesn't have control of this wave. Junhao needs to come fix top wave now. And in fact, he's going to right now. He's spotted heading over that tri-brush. Bot side is close on the TV2 as well. There is a heal. He'll use it. Have to flash over the backswing of that Q. Staying a little longer than perhaps he would have wanted to. See that the Civ are actually more than fine dealing with the lane of the Varus. It's one of the problems actually with some teams thinking they can play Varus just for instant win. It's not always true. You do actually need to really... get a lot out of the lane. Transfer into a point where he's just instantly poking you out and shoving waves when he moves into stuff like mid lane or across the map. Good E accuracy there from the Rumble. Thank God. I was just thinking about... Rumble is a pretty loud champion in this skin. Pierce the skies and... reach the skies and pierce right through it. Super galactic face melter. Exactly, you tell him, Rumble. And And I was just thinking to myself, oh, how glad I am that Corki's not getting played in this game. Because Corki, particularly the chicken Corki, skin has just the loudest Gatling gun. I didn't think it could get louder. It could. I was naive. That's a bad recall there from Sassy. He was stopped there. Did of course get the extra gank onto his lane to help him sort his lane a little before that is wave. Rumble on red side, imagine Riot fixing bugs. I'm pretty sure that they fixed the Rumble red side bug, right? Finally, didn't they? Wasn't that a thing? I believe it was a thing. One second, folks. Just realizing that he did the. That's not true at all. Let's do that. There we go. So sorry about that. Onivia randomly, the stream was in it was it was a private stream, weirdly. Anyway, it's live now. So sorry for everyone who was watching over on, who's meant to be watching over on Onivia. Let them know about that, actually. Probably just a slight mistake in setting up the stream itself. All good. It's now live on all of the regular locations. We kind of bailed out of doing TikTok streaming because, God, the stress of just it randomly getting shut down for no good reason was not doing me well, and I didn't want to lose my account, really. Enjoying both though. Thanks for the stream, Rick. I'm not sure if I might have called that earlier or if Sam did. Dragon early taken by Ultra Prime. We do sometimes see Dragon left until about 10-12 minutes. Depends how intense the early game is. Grubs are spawning now. LGD not really in position to contest it. Oh, it's been a little... Sorry, folks. I just had to make sure that all our settings were fine on some streaming end of things. Again, this is the issue with having your casters also be your producers, streamers, and custodians of your LPL experience. It means that you don't get to split duties while someone can focus on one thing and other people can do others. Sam and I do a pretty good job of it on the whole, actually. We're much better at it than we used to be. Learned how to do this vaguely back in 2020 when we were doing it for LGL. Done it a few times since, and yeah, gotten better at it over time. If you think casting's hard, try doing it while you're keeping an eye on tech and all of the chats at the same time. Saber, XQW, getting to the point where we might see them pull their first ults of the game. They're a little bit slow to do so. Spell Shield not used on that, which is fair. The thing about the Sivir-Varus matchup is that it goes wrong for Sivir when she Spell Shields too early. You tend to get really, really in lots of trouble when you Spell Shield something else and the Varus ult comes through and you die. You must have Spell Shield up for that at pretty much all times. Hey Sam, how's it going? Sam, I realize we don't have any milk. I will order some in. No, I have a Red Bull. Sam, I've decided to forego the typical morning coffee for, you know, put caffeine directly into my veins.
Americana, so
it's all good. All good.
What have I missed in the early game?
Sam, not that much. The one thing which happened was there was an early gank up towards top lane, and then Climber came into the lane and made sure he at least traded 1-for-1 with Jen in return. So Jonaha came in, killed Sassy. Climber then went into a 1v2, realizing he died, saying, look, at least I'll reset the wave. Ganked him another time to reset the wave again. Didn't kill him, but did take a good chunk off of him, and that's why we have that 10 CS lead towards the Gwen. He's gone for a Rod of Ages first, I've now realized, actually.
Oh, interesting. That's not seen that one going in a long time.
Yeah, I have vague memories of a Rod of Ages build. You know what, Sam? You can keep talking about stuff. I'm going to go... There's a great website, folks, called onetricks.gg, which can actually tell you about occasional builds.
A Gwen main or two I can message and see whether there was anything weird in there. I don't think it's a particularly regularly built thing, but I can sort of see when you're into a fair amount of DPS champions like Arise and the rest, things get a bit interesting, but there is some violence occurring. Realm Warp is burned, On the Hunt is burned, and YCX just crashes down. Doesn't really need to worry too much. What it does mean, however, is that Ultra Prime do have firm command of the river right now. And with Sassy topside looking to pick up some plates, they may well just not want to play around this dragon particularly heavily. Just try to zone LGD, sorry, Ultra Prime, off that mid lane river. Pick up wave. That's
Many
the one I
things.
was
We're
going for.
playing
The thing in the
charades.
mid lane. That's the one.
Yeah, trying to think if we had a team with a C in it, so I could say LCD, more like League of Charades Demons, or whatever works for acronyms. We'll workshop it. We'll workshop it. Gets a couple of plates off the top side. So Dragon for a couple of plates onto the Gwen, who's actually dropped a bit of that CS lead, interestingly. Saber using that phase rush. Don't think they spot Shaosha that.
Tried to headbutt him back. The Pulverize comes on down. Actually, because of the CC timing, ends up just being a bit of a chunk onto YCX. But will force a slight reset from various members. Gwen's come back to lane. For herself a bit more towards those Merc treads, but on the other side, Rumble's got themselves that very early Leandries, and that feels pretty good, I think, as far as Rumbles are concerned. Genha's going to take the opportunity to Crushing Blow Nimbus Strike. So we'll see this weird animation where the Crushing Blow happens, and then you slide forwards.
Folks, I've just been looking through some solo queue data, and I've been checking DPM lol as well, which is pretty good for compiling things. So, in terms of Rod of Ages build rate, it is 0.3% of Gwen games is built in. So it's not even like, 2% of the time or whatever. No, it's something like, 97% of the time, you have either Nash's or Leandries first. Very occasionally, you see something like a Malignance or a Lichbane or something like that. It's very, very low pick rate, but I just wanted to go check that out, and it seems like... Well, I haven't seen much data on this one, folks. Yeah, so we'll have an ask. So I think Sam's actually... Are you messaging a Gwen main about it? Cool.
Yeah.
That's actually... This is the cool thing. Sometimes when you're on... One of the bonuses of something like co-stream... Actually, technically, I have done this on cast once or twice, too. You can message people for information while you are on co-stream a lot easier than when you're on cast, because you're less likely to go freak onto camera. Like, you're on camera, and you have to drop your phone and figure things out.
Have you had to do that?
Huh?
Have you ever had to do that?
No.
The worst one I had
Yeah.
was I was working with a guy
Yeah.
who worked on mobile gaming. And he pulled his phone out to sort of show hand placement for how you do mobile games.
Oh, yeah.
The problem was, of course, that it was a non-sponsored phone on a very phone-sponsored show.
Oh, God.
And so there were some very interesting messages from the sponsors afterwards.
The thing is, like, stuff like that means, for instance, I'm pretty sure that, like, LEC can't show cars which aren't a Kia. Because they have the car sponsor. That makes sense, right? And same for things where we saw... I mean, LPL is sponsored by Mercedes, so it wouldn't be... Or Mercedes. It wouldn't surprise me if they had something similar with that. And again, I'm not sure about that, by the way. This is just me speculating.
It'll be trained with phones and laptops.
Put it this way. I mean, while I don't officially know... I don't think I've ever seen a car which isn't a Kia on LEC. And again, that does make sense, right? And this also applies to movies, say, for instance, where... until recently, bad guys were never allowed to use an iPhone.
Yeah.
If they had an iPhone, they were a good guy.
It's changed now recently.
Now, what I will say is this will spoil for you, but if you watch Knives Out, you know, the murder mystery thing, you can find out who is good largely and who is bad largely by telling which kind of phone they have, which is actually quite an interesting fun fact. You got a fun fact for free.
There you go.
So yeah, when you have something like that, then yes, sponsors can sometimes take issue, and it makes sense, right? They pay a lot of money to get the stuff that they do. Junhao going towards top side, not going to get that much though. I believe there was a phase rush coming out from. No, it wasn't quite that, but SQW has that phase rush to be safe though.
He's a little fast frog. That's what his name is now.
True, yeah.
Early game has largely been quite dull, I have to say, guys. It really has.
Well,
Ultra Prime have got a lot of the early objectives.
You got any more fun facts?
I said the one about the Aphelios and the phase of the moon the other week.
I have
That's a good one.
I have a fun fact.
Go on.
For a long time before kind of society developed the ability to metalwork iron, we couldn't make iron ingots, basically.
Yeah.
So the best metal in the world was all found from meteorites. So you look like the Avatar: The Last Airbender episode where Sokka gets his meteorite sword, and I think Alexander the Great famously had a meteorite sword as well. It all came from meteoric iron.
Because it was more high purity.
Also, what was I going to say? Yeah, you know, a lot of people in fantasy works and sci-fi talk about this, you know, magical metals which are unbreakable and never tarnish, and they're so strong and so sharp. Folks, that's literally just steel.
Yeah.
If you think about the amount of people that tried to make steel over humanity's lifetime, there are, I would imagine, millions of people who tried to make steel for however many years before they found it out. Like, stuff like the Crucible coming out later and into Human Surge and stuff like that was an absolute game changer. Steel is genuinely such a fascinating, technically it's an alloy, or it's high carbon steel. Maybe not an alloy, but it's high carbon iron rather. It's a nice one now. Might have a fight around this dragon though, so let's see where the metal is put here.
Really quick to test. Iron sharpens iron. We'll see about steel though as the equalizer comes on down. But so the exalted XQW has been well and truly caught. Junhao slides away well. LGD trying to turn back around as YCX goes on in. And Sassy snips pretty well, but Jiang won't go down. Another double knock-up. And the double burn afterwards. They can't finish anyone. And Ultra Prime continue to punish LGD now in dire straits. They have to run from the river. Flash on forward to the slowdown with a Rune Prison. And he will not pass go or pick up 350 gold.
Yeah, the steel of the Saber meets the back of Savior as he tries to run away. Ultra Prime have a fight where their Sivir does not take a single point of damage. Let's watch back through that replay again when it comes up. I'm pretty sure that Bayer didn't even take a single auto attack. Look at him right there, full HP. It's close to it anyway. Ultra Prime with 3 grubs, they'll take that mid lane outer turret as well. Junhao will be safe on the retreat. Stole a red buff too?
Yeah.
Oh, come on, that's just not fair. Ultra Prime destroying the first fight of the game.
He's 40 CS up now as well. The Weaver's going to come across by it. May now be in danger. Does still have a spell shield, I would imagine, yet to bow it. Hasn't stepped into the seismic shove and just gets to walk away.
And Ultra Prime having themselves an early soul point. 18 minutes in. Huge fight around the dragon. They have 3 grubs. They have it's only capped up by like a partridge in a pear tree. Might even fight over this top skull as well. Why not? Now, Ultra Prime, you do need to back off and spend your gold at some point.
Junhao, I think, nabbed that as well. No, it was actually picked up by Climber at the end. Steadfast pressing comes on down charge. She's now gone quite deep for this. And the TP's come flying. That's probably Herald now to LGD.
They didn't really reset. Oh my god, Jian's going to get caught off on the reset as well. An oversave from Ultra Prime. They had to spend their gold. And instead, they'll be using the coins to cross the river Styx.
That halves the gold lead. Gives some important shutdowns and a Herald over to LGD, who are really needing a way back into this game. Ultra Prime with the 46% first turret win rate could potentially tell you why here, because they are a little lackadaisical in the mid game. XQW is in a lot of danger here though, so maybe both teams need a bit of a work on that. TP now back in from the Rumble. Can get a bit dicey. I apologize to the Alistair. There's the Cyclone coming on forwards. Knock up onto YCX. Gets another knock up with the Pulverize. They've killed off that Rel. The knock away, but it's too little too late to keep the jungler alive. Herald also picked up before they were knocked away, so Ultra Prime may lose a couple, but the re-engage about 10 seconds later, too deadly for LGD to manage.
Peak Nirvana Gaming. Did any of the last 2 minutes make sense? No! Does it make me happy? Still kind of yes. Fun fights. Ultra Prime get themselves a great fight around the Herald, despite realistically being in a place where they should have lost that. LGD couldn't quite take the objective down quickly enough. This is how the fight started, where a hop back means that Junhao still takes a lot of damage. This is where the dragon came through. I want you to watch how much damage Bayer takes through the entire fight, because I don't think he takes a single point of damage, folks. What he gets 1 Varus ult onto him. That's the 1 bit of damage. Does any other damage come through onto him? 1 bit of needlework, nothing there, and nothing happens. I'm pretty sure he doesn't take anything after. Look at the little amount of damage coming through, and while all this is happening, Saber's untouched as well, but Bayer has an untouched fight.
Yeah, he gets grazed by a needle, grazed by his spread of Varus ult, which he heals right back up again anyway. Sassy now very dangerous, but now has to get back away. And Atakan is going to be started by LGD.
That's almost sounded like you could say that to the tune of HIM's Wings of a Butterfly. Raised by the side of a bad result. Atakan goes down. Probably more important than the song and dance. Ultra Prime will set another major objective in this game. They got the Herald just before it. Ultra Prime, completely taking off now. 5,000 gold ahead. Sassy's not exactly doing much on this Gwen, is he? Have you found anything more about the God of Ages Gwen?
Mostly rage about Gwen nerfs that's leading to this. So I've been told to use my inside connections to get this travesty reverted, because it's leading to these degenerate play patterns.
As in, so many base stats have been lost, you have to build Rod of Ages to make up for it, or what?
More the fact that it should never have come to this, and that people doing this deserve to be...
What does it mean, never should have come to it? What does that mean?
It means they're a Gwen main who are upset that their champion's been nerfed, Alex.
Oh, so they're protesting their champion by building crap on it, and then seeing what happens after?
I mean, effectively, I think it's more the mode that, like, I refuse to engage with Rower as an item, but the fact that someone is building this says quite a lot about the state of the champion.
I did feel like that about Ahri, actually. The amount of times I've now seen Ahri jump into plays with Rod of Ages and just get obliterated anyway, I'm thinking, so you've built this item to stop this from happening. It's happened anyway, and yet you persist. And yet you persist. 40 seconds till the next dragon, by the way. That would be a very early soul point for... A soul, rather, for Ultra Prime. Not even the soul point. Sometimes it's hard to kind of tell the terminology to new viewers of League, the difference between soul and soul point. 3 dragons and 4 dragons, very big difference between them. Blue buff taken by Junhao will be available to pick up by Saber if he wants to. Ultra Prime into the river first. They get to control the area around this, and YCX hit by Junhao over the wall. The combo into it, and the engaged support is down.
That kind of sucks. LGD have been called out so many times. And look at Savior here, right? He's a 2-1 on the Varus. Had a killer series the last time we saw him out. It was very impressive from them. Some really important victories. The Weaver's Wall's too late as well.
Tragedy. Tragedy, tragedy, tragedy. LGD, not a clean game. Reminder, folks, this is the team that's 2-0'd our rampant EDG. Just what, how many days ago? 4 or 5 days ago? It wasn't long ago. When did they do that? I mean, EDG, hang on a second, fight over the wall. Climber tried to go in for a steal. Will not be able to do so. He won't even be leaving with his life. No steal. The Varusar is pretty damn close, though, I will say. And an engagement coming through from the Cyclone.
In comes the Cyclone Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. They will lose the monkey for doing that. Maybe he partied a little hard there. The disco balls go out for the moment for the Wukong.
Reminds me of a song called Disco Snails.
What?
There's a song called Disco Snails.
I don't believe that's true.
Yeah. Disco never died. It turns out Disco just got small. Inside their snail shells, they house a tiny disco ball.
It sounds excellent.
Disco snails. They're here to eat your kale.
This just reminded me of like what a coincidence kind of vibes.
It is quite similar to that.
What a coincidence!
What a coincidence. Yes, you can really dance.
Wow.
Well,
you could really lane.
Well, reminder, folks, there are actual no consequences towards this game, which is why we go off the rails with the disco snails, and the tower fails to fall.
It's going to be an on the hunt. Maybe they can be a little faster than snails. They can be really, really fast in XQW.
You've never seen Turbo before? The Turbo snail?
I don't think I ever did actually watch that movie.
Yeah, I just know that there is a very fast snail. In fact, there's a very funny edit of I Will Dominate about that. No dash is stopped by Climber there. 2 levels down on the Poppy. Teleport behind. Yeah, that's the Rumble. If an Equalizer hits, that could slow them down into death.
Let's get ready to rumble! Equalizer comes on down and will chug out Savior. Climber gets a little bit lower as well, but doesn't really get caught on it, and so I use that call for, in the end, very little, and I'm slightly disappointed for this.
We shall... Everyone forget? You heard that?
Yep,
we shall use that again some other time. There was an objective bounty picked up. 6,000 gold lead to Ultra Prime, but and they also have that Infernal Soul, which makes it... Playing around... Stuff like this, the Ricochet even worse, because the Ricochet has so many random instances of damage in flight at most times in a team fight. Means that the Infernal Soul is proccing onto someone all of the time. It is really nasty sometimes for Tibra if she actually gets good auto attack uptime. And sadly, this Varus has achieved very little.
Is that just going to be like the internet, Alex? A little bit of everything
all of the time?
Yeah.
I sang that at karaoke recently. I forgot that song that it was fine, yeah. That's
I was there with you, wasn't I?
You were, yeah. Although you were drinking, I was not.
That's true.
So I don't know how you're
folks. I was I don't remember. I remember doing it. I have fun with it.
Sang some ABBA as well.
That
And of
was
course,
good. You
it
did a
is
good job with that.
It is me. So Linkin Park was sang. Linkin Park was sang.
true.
Yeah. Meteor is the greatest album of all time. I will not be taking any notes on this. Baron has spawned. There is a bit of it. I'm not saying this is in a position to start it, but I think Ultra Prime just want to. They don't realize there's a ward right behind.
That's
So they'd love
that.
that. Yeah. So they'd like to be baiting this. Now they see it. There we go. Bless you. Gesundheit. That's like health time in German. That'd be Gesundheit.
Time of health.
Actually, that'd be Gesundheit rather than height. Anyway, health time. Health time, Sam. Health time. Pushing out the waves again. Ultra Prime, they would really like to bait LGD into them. That's a Soler ult coming through. Realm Warp back.
I feel like the help.
Whoa!
Oh, deep and Shalsha immediately with the double pulverize and the ult buys a lot of time in the front line. And LGD forced to run away as that Rise is beginning to free fire.
Honestly, that was a very fun Realm Warp. If they'd had anyone following up on the same screen, that would have been excellent. He goes forwards, loses half his HP, but pops the ultimate earlier. And you can see how valuable that Alistair is as a frontline. If you hadn't been convinced of that one before, watch them just, tank up 5 people casually.
Saber might be in a spot, but he's 5 levels up on this Poppy, who is still at an item, by the way. He's yet to complete the second item.
I've been told that Gesundheit just means health. I'm now going to disagree. I think that, a good upgrade to the German language would be just health time. Gesundheit. Yeah,
that's it.
I know it's something that you'll have to adapt to, but...
I think it's what it is actually. It's about like this viewing platform where people used to go get healthy. It's the height of Gesund. Would you go up to the heights of Gesund to go get healthy? Yeah, it's like a pilgrimage one would go on.
Right.
And they started sneezing too much.
Like
to get cured.
Yeah, it's like going on a pilgrimage to find out what came first, the chicken or the egg.
Yeah, exactly.
The egg pilgrimage.
The egg pilgrimage, exactly.
That's a family story, by the way. And yeah, the egg pilgrimage. What a time. Baron started now. It is once again on vision. Well, LGD do technically have the ability to contest this, but they don't have the Poppy ult, they don't have the Slayer ult. Not going to really be able to contest it at all.
There's a double flash pulverize. Shalsha is feeling it right now. Good Magnus on with the backside, but it's not really allowing for much of a follow-up. Sassy finally turned up the rower. Gwen doing its best, but it's just not that damn tanky, and the whole team is wiped from the face of the rift. Savior alone tried to survive, but they realm warped to hunt for him. Saber will be sent on that particular mission. It's a blast cone to work with Savior. We'll get into the Infernal Dragon Pit and look to reset with that.
Sassy's game has done as follows. L plus ratio plus no HP plus no bitches plus touch grace. Sassy has done very little on the Rod of Ages, Gwen. Honestly, LGD have done very little on the whole. Ultra Prime, though, in a game where it doesn't matter, show confidence. They show some calm gameplay to roll over a very easy Game 1 victory.
That's often the way it is with Ultra Prime. The moment it doesn't matter.
Pickable champion, pick that late into the draft.
Never
Crazy
seen
value.
it before. Never seen that one before.
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎了。
Bonds, Saber already over there to get on top of YCX.
It's a little bit dangerous doing that, actually, because, there's a Braum on the enemy team.
There's a bit. Lead to all that much. And again, yeah, you're right. Braum at level 1, arguably the strongest champion in the game.
There were a couple of different... you're right there.
Just trying to find my way across as appropriately as I can. I keep weirdly sliding back the other way. It's very annoying.
Probably I think it's a you problem, Sam. I think it's a you. I
Might
think
be.
you're using your telekinesis.
Yeah, I am notorious for having that. You're right.
Yeah. You're using your telekinesis. You should really keep an eye on that. Like a third eye on it,
Yeah.
It fits the telekinetic theme a little bit.
I wear glasses, so I've got 4 of them.
Well, that means you've got a third one to spare.
That's
you
true.
can use a third eye for one thing, and then you've got a spare fourth eye.
Yeah, that one's for looking at chat. Keep an eye
Right,
on you.
okay. Yeah. As opposed to, what is it, teachers always have eyes in the back of their head?
Yeah.
We're not, well, I mean, we could be teachers of League of Legends.
true.
I always said I never wanted to be a teacher, because
Really?
I don't like school.
That's true.
I don't know if I have the patience to deal with school children, Sam.
I feel like that there may be some news reports very shortly about great rage being unleashed.
Are you insinuating things about my character, Sam? I
Yes.
think you are. Okay, all right. Just checking.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure, I was trying to be very obvious about that.
Right. But you deal with this every day. I was just thinking about that. I was thinking about that in solo queue. I should make the most of it. Saber letting an E through the wave, they're actually quite effective. Gets the W on target too. Does lose the trade because, Yone early on. W lands after. Saber really not taking the best part of that trade.
Does end up taking a significant amount of damage. Won't lead to too much more here. There's a nice angle there with the Abscond, the Abduct coming out quickly. XQW trades back well with the Spirit Cleave, and so gets enough of a shield to make that much of a muchness. Actually, Saber here down a lot of his early pots into a door and shield means that XQW is actually in a much better spot now in this lane.
Yeah, see that Saber just needs to survive through to the first back. Using that passive sadly on the wrong timing there, doesn't get that extra minion, which would have been nice. He's down a lot of CS early, which is not fantastic. Often with these harder melee versus melee, or sometimes melee versus range matchups too, you trade your HP to get a good, get a good first back. But if you don't get enough CS down before that point, then you know what's the point of it really? See that Saber, he goes back for a refill pot. It's all he's managed to get. You got what, 9, even was it about 8 CS for that recall? Don't even think he had more the CS he had currently. Before that one, he's just come back with that. You know, on the other side, there's a dagger for XQW. He's in a really good spot. By the way, if you're going for first backs on Yone, recurve bow is de facto better than tier 2 boots for your first couple of backs of the game because it gives you the on-hit magic damage.
Yeah.
Ever since Berserker Greaves got nerfed away from 35% attack speed to 25%, it's not actually that much value going to that anymore. And let's be honest, Yone has enough mobility to often walk out of other plays anyway.
Yeah, on the other hand, if you do really need mobility, and that's what you're doing, but just note you are getting less damage. Like, if you're into, like, perma-skill shots or whatever, I can see the value, but just know that you are trading mobility for damage.
Arguably the best Yone solo queue player in the world, Tempest, basically says, you don't need Berserker Greaves anymore. He's saying, look, and this is the same kind of thing where he's saying you don't always need Blade the Ruin King first and stuff like that. In fact, you can go for Kraken Slayer builds and blah, 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 because, well, you know, you don't get to sustain anymore. You know, let's be honest, Yone never needed to sustain at the start of his career. There were points where he was playing, like, Phantom Dancer first, of course, around Yone's power spikes as well. Just don't get hit by stuff.
Just be better, yeah. And again, I get that at pro level, sometimes that can be riskier because you're against people who do tend to hit stuff. That's kind of why they're pro players. If you back yourself, you know what you're doing. There can absolutely be some wisdom in doing that. And pro players, let's be real, notoriously quite slow to change up their builds.
Yeah. Yep, that is another thing too. Although, for some reason, then they'll change it to a Rod of Ages Gwen. For reasons which we are not sure about. Mid lane has been the focus of this early game. And the melee versus melee fun trading aspect of it. Ah, that's a problem for Jen. He's going to deal with that Dark Possession. Auto attacks down, choosing not to flash away.
Gets away with it for now. But does end up losing a lot of their HP, but in fairness, does have a teleport to work with. XQW has to rebound his soul. There is a trundle behind him, but the turnaround with a permafrost is going to come on down and put Jun now in a tricky spot. Now passive onto Saber. Flash for that permafrost. Q3! And Saber goes down for first blood. Sejuani passive value way too high in the early game.
The bot side, though, Brom's died. They're going for the 2v2. Bayer going forwards. How much extra damage has he got? He's got the Presti attack active.
Does manage to slide behind that and gets the second a double to the Lucian. Bayer on a specialty pick. Finds the double tap on the double kill.
So in the mid lane, things go very poorly wrong for Ultra Prime. The Sejuani gets huge value as they get the one kill onto the Silas. Both flash, no, it wasn't a flash away from Jun, but they get the kill onto the Silas. Bot lane, it's a 1 for 2. 2 kills going onto the Lucian, though. That is an issue. How did this start? Because it started with the Braum dying. Typically you say, well, you know, Nautilus not great into the Braum, but the shield's a little bit late. Doesn't react to the hook flying at them. There's the double root coming through. This isn't bad weapons for Saber. He does, of course, have the Conqueror as well, so he's got good extended trike trading. Not the hook lands. I mean, Aphelios plays this well. It's just Vigilance Lucian. Lucian is really, really good at taking out damage when you CC people around him. The damage difference, you normally say, oh, well, you know, stack Conqueror. That's got to be the winner. Press the attack, Vigilance from people being CC'd around him. Lucian does a hell of a lot of damage.
Look, he had the pickaxe already in inventory, so there was enough AD to back up those Vigilance autos that they really were stinging. Back with that double kill again. At least Xavier did get a kill of his own, but again, he burned both summoners to make that happen. Bayer's still got that cleanse. And Junhao in the river here with most of the team in general from both sides. Right around about that is Sion just ulting back to lane, if you're wondering where that noise was coming from. Pick up that wave there as it crashed into turret, but it's going to give Yorick first roam down river should they wish to fight.
Does anyone have a favorite global sound effect in League of Legends? There's obviously the Kled one, the
That's gonna be good.
The Sion one is pretty hard to beat, but there's stuff like this was a deep cut. Do people remember when Android Amumu, whatever it was, had the global laugh? For some reason, you just start laughing, and just everyone would hear the Amumu laughing across the map. That was kind of funny.
Horrifying.
Stuff like What are the good ones? TF ult being popped. That's quite a nice sound effect, actually.
A Zerath has got some good ones with the boom sounds he
True.
fires.
I don't think that's global sound effect.
Nocturne's got a great one, though.
Oh, Darkness. That's true.
Just
Particularly,
so
I think a
stylish.
Turnham Nocturne has some really sharp sound effects on that. Now, fight over the Raptors.
Nice.
And we'll get summon out of that. Nice job.
Let's get that. Actually, going quite ahead of this Trundle early on, actually. 12 CS at this point in the game is significant.
And also, you look at the CS as well, and
Yeah.
you look at the jungle items.
Yeah.
And there's a 4-camp difference in terms of the major part of that camp taken. Ult used by Saber to clear the wave, had timed out on that Yone ult. We're potentially fighting over Grubs by trying to get a high HP advantage.
Does have cleanse. Fight seal still lands by a no flash, so he's going to be in so much danger. Tries to get some more value in there, but it's not respectful of Climber.
Yeah, Climber flies over the wall. There's a cleanse, but no flash. Can't dodge away because he'd used his E. Now, potential fight. Can they get another slow? I think it's safely out for the other Ultra Prime members. But Climber making a huge impact this early game. The gank mid again, with different members involved. It's great value.
An XQW on his Yone, something that's often banned against him at the expense of other really key picks, but he gets a hold of it this time, goes across the wall here, gets the double mortal steal over, goes YCX as well. Xiaoxia doing a decent job of puming up that pattern. Now YCX gone really deep, doesn't have a flash or a way to go back over the wall, and it all goes really wrong. Depth charge onto XQW, needs to flash to be out of range of the dredge line, and that means they can potentially come and fight Climber around these Grubs. The Grubs are secure, but Climber in the back of the pit. It's going to slide over, but there's Yichang waiting. Junhao flashes to follow. Should be able to secure this one. There's no real way out with the blast cone and goes down to Junhao.
So it's going to be 2 kills on the exit to Ultra Prime. They do lose all 3 Grubs, though. They go to LGD, and in a game with a Yorick and a Yone, that is a win condition. Ultra Prime, they give up an important objective there. The early objective play, been a bit faster to lose this series so far. First game we saw something not dissimilar happen around Dragons, and then the Herald afterwards a little later into the game. Neither of these teams really like to back off and take small wins.
Look, you just need some more family involved. It's fast and furious. It's never mind loose. Fast, furious, and loose. Could be a new remake. As a nice abscond of Ducks as SQW went to rebind their soul. That was nice from Saber.
Yeah, Saber just threw it at the landing point and managed to catch it at the right timing, despite being down a ton of gold. Managed to get
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, good trade
skill
there.
shot. Yeah.
You know, one of the things which it's not Elmer Fudd. You know Porky Pig from Looney Tunes. Apparently, one of the only criticisms about who was the voice actor? You know, the guy that did all the Looney Tunes stuff. The only criticism was that he always stammered in the same way, which meant that it was actually quite obvious that it wasn't a natural stammer. Climber might look for a steal here. Does have flash, can't get it. We'll queue back out.
In fact, there is a really interesting video of the voice actor of that, saying that he did that deliberately. And they said, that's how I have job security, because no one can do it the same way I do.
Yes. Yeah. No, well, there was another thing he said with that too, which was that there's an awesome thing. I think it was Dan Castellano who does you know, the like a lot of Simpsons voice acting. He's Homer. Was saying that, you know, one of the things which impressed him and makes him convinced that that guy is the best voice actor of all time was that he can make his characters do impressions of each other, and they don't become the same thing. So hang on a second, might have a dive under here. Might be slightly more important.
Stolen Glacial Fissure, flash out of the Fate Seal, passive comes on down, double blast. Saber gets a lot of healing, and Climber can't get the kill, has to flash back away. The Abduct lands onto a Void Might. Saber survives, hooked to the wall, gets the dredge line in. Baye finds YCX on the retreat. He's still got a culling to it and a flash. The Ardent Blaze lands, double tap from the Vigilance passive. They give another kill over to Saber, and suddenly that gold lead in the mid lane is halved as Saber just stands and fights.
That dive was so poorly executed by LGD, or rather well defended by Saber. I think, no, it's more fair to say Saber outplays the dive. He manages to get out of a lot of CC, turn things around and threaten his own chain CC under the turret to then Ultra Prime have enough time to respond. The gold is back to even, and we'll go back into a replay of it.
So here you go, because basically Saber is going to hijack a Glacial Fissure. Still basically uses that in his flash to avoid so much of the initial CC. Glacial Fissure on 2. Glacial Prison goes wide. Flashes a turn. It's actually a good Glacial Prison in turn from Y6 to read the flash. The problem is, even with Brawn passive, even with Permafrost, it's not enough damage, and they have to leave under the turret, but the problem is the health bars have all gotten too low. Baye picks up one. Xiaoxia hits the second dredge line. Down goes Climber, and Saber picks up a load of gold, and it's a really nice turnaround. Yes, LGD could maybe have landed a skill shot or two more, but gotta give credit over to Saber for dodging where it's due as well. The gold lead actually in Ultra Prime's favor just about. Where that gold is distributed would also be key to note. It's a slight lead in mid lane. Now that lead for XQW has been halved. And you're looking really at this Lucian. He's up 800 gold. Already got the Essence Reaver, the early seal. Fight occurring though with Junhao in danger. Will subjugate briefly, but the CC chain this time too much. Spider-Man away from Nautilus, but is hit by the Glacial Prison. There's the Dark Procession, and Nautilus surely dead here as well. Maybe look to turn around. Can Saber with a Glacial Prison onto someone, but I don't know how easy it would be. Lands it onto YCX. The heal comes on down. Should get the kill. Does burn out. Nicely done. Now Saber potentially in danger though as Moonlight Vigil comes on down. Fate Seal turns out around. Permafrost on the Ejax, who's desperately low, goes down to the Severum Crescendum combo. And while Saber thinks he finds a pick, and he does, the turnaround is lethal. And XQW now 4-0-1. Savior gets involved. That means Herald, Spawns, is really just fighting over vision control in the river. Then flash for the depth charge. Savior now in danger himself, will have to flash away. Flash from Baye and from Xiaoxia to make that happen. It's being a 2-for-1 in terms of those summons. A little over-eager there from Ultra Prime. Sassy will bonk on this turret a few times. And again, 3 grubs and a Yorick with Trinity Force means this turret is gone. That likely means significant gold swing towards LGD. It was slightly in favor of Ultra Prime, and then that sequence happens, and suddenly back to 2,500 gold. Will come back to this play around the river, and Junhao just gets blasted. This time, the Subjugate comes on through, but Permafrost, Brawn passive, Glacial Fissure was way too much. Have to jump on the Nautilus just after as well. No real way for the rest. Ultra Prime to come and defend, and Saber thinks maybe I can pick off someone low HP here as they leave. And he does manage to land the Glacial Prison onto the Brawn. Almost gets the kill and gets out in short order, but heal buys enough time, and then Saber basically just ends up trapped with all the CC coming, and all the while Savior steps on forward, has Severum Crescendum, and melts the front line. Suddenly there's a 1,400 gold lead to Yorick, who got all of those plates in that turret. Suddenly there's a 1,500 gold lead to XQW, who was down, had lost his gold lead, down about 400. Suddenly it's right back to a significant lead. YCX is about to face check. Yeah, I don't know about that one. Will Glacial Fissure to buy some time. Now comes the redemption as well. Junhao now in danger. There's the flash to the other side, but I don't know what end he's going to go to over there. Lucian has killed off the Brawl at the very least, so it ends up being a 1-for-1. BD carries both getting kills there on opposite numbers. Saber steals away the Fate Sealed. Sassy in the enemy jungle, stealing away this blue buff. Of course, it was John who died. Attempted steal of the blue buff with a Roar of the Slayer on a Ghoul. Dragon about to get secured by LGD. We have feats of strength here, courtesy these early skirmishes. Saber trading well there with XQW actually, as the Herald are doing a lot of work here. He's actually going to charge at XQW. Saber for the Fate Seal, can't find it. Will just slide away as XQW unbind to Soul. Will have a Mortal Steel. Chain Lash a little early there. Leads to all that match. YCX now roaming up to shield their mid laner as they get this shove out. Herald is up and around. Saber will look to clear out these waves best he can. Hit some Petricite Bursts and some Kingslayers. At this point, the game is in a pretty odd spot. Welcome back. The milk been secured out.
The milk has been secured.
Oh, exciting.
I didn't even leave for forever.
No, you
and I
didn't.
went out to get milk and not cigarettes because I don't smoke.
That's true.
I see that Baye is very fed, but LGD is still in the lead. Curious.
So there was a fight in the river.
Yes.
Where XQW and Sassy got a lot of value, and then Sassy got to go bonk the turret.
And now he's ahead a large amount of gold from that. Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it. I mean, Ultra Prime have the tools to deal with the Yorick later again. Like, I mean, it doesn't have to be the Sejuani ulted, by the way. It can be the Yorick, and Yorick goes down easily enough. That's a problem. You probably still are ulting the Sejuani on the whole, because it makes your Trundle tankier. Walking up now. Is that Sejuani?
Winter Spike, Glacial Fissure, turn around though onto Savior, who gets knocked up and chomped. That loses all of his attack speed. Ejang though in dangerous positions as the Permafrost stacks on top of him and leaves him out to dry. They're trying to kill off Sassy and will fail to do so. XQW will use some Mortal Steel, trying to step on forward and kill off the Maiden at the very least. Herald has been aggroed. They've lost...
Just the one, just the one. The Scion goes down. I'm very surprised that Ultra Prime didn't do more while the Scion was tanking everything. They had so much of focused attention onto that Scion. They're now going to try and fight the Herald in the 4v5. They have decent HP bars on Saber, really, to use the rest of his to do anything. I think they're just going to back off. Ultra Prime think, okay, we've lost our top lane, our front line. He can teleport in 5 seconds. We'll fight around that instead.
John Howe doesn't have flash. Needs to be a bit worried about leaving here. He kind of tucked the long the trying to get involved. Stolen Glacial Prison courtesy of a hijack. They don't get the Herald or the mid lane turret. John Howe might be able to interrupt the back here with a pillar.
In fact, he'll be looking for that. In fact, I can do potentially a little bit more now with the Stone Sejuani ult. They're not going to do so.
Oh,
maybe
Savior.
Yeah, if anyone walks up to defend this turret, they could potentially fling a Sejuani ult and the Trundle Pillar at him over the wall. Here comes Climber. Not going to do that much, though. Want to take the tower instead.
Severn Crescendum comes on down, can't quite take the turret. Put down the Sentinel turret, Climber Pillar back. The Glacial Prison goes just wide. Don't land onto Climber.
And Jonah didn't even chomp the turret. My dude, just put a Trinity Force Q onto the turret and you can kill that. I'm surprised at that. Ultra Prime not realizing that they actually had tower kill threat. And now the Herald's going to come down in mid lane. They're going to lose their own mid lane turret. That's a mistake there from Ultra Prime.
Yeah, and they lost the turret top side as well. Saber's going to have to go up and cleanse that one away. The Decimate comes on down. The Pillar does interrupt the Herald charge.
Oh, okay.
Redemption comes on down. That might be enough to keep this turret alive. That's nicely done. Of course, though, Savior stacking up those Chakrams. Got 5 or 6 around him already. Won't lead to all that much, and the turret stays standing for Ultra Prime.
Oh, I didn't know that's how that worked with the Trundle Pillar. Actually interrupts the charge, and that means that the tower will stay alive. Yeah, I mean, well, another reason why Trundle is broken, put on the list. That's an important mechanic to learn. I had no idea that's how it worked. They did lose top lane turret. That was XQW pushing that down with the 3 grubs. You do have the feats of strength available, well, earned already, I suppose, by LGD. Ultra Prime lost a lot of gold in the last series of plays, though. I'm getting quite worried. I'm quite worried that they didn't take the ultra turret, the outer turret in mid lane when it was available to them. John Haggard just chomped it with the Triforce. With the chomp, I think he would have killed it. And then they lose so much on the side lanes too. That's a lot of gold to give over.
Ultra Twitch Prime subscription.
Yeah.
You could be offering to us, guys.
Funnily enough, yeah, that's something which Yahoo said in chat earlier, actually.
Hello, yeah. How you feeling, Yahoo?
Ultra Twitch Prime. Appreciate that. Saber now laned up against the Yorick. Fairly safe lane for him compared to the Scion. Scion's probably a little easier into the Yone because she's going full armor anyway.
Atakan is up. And as we all know in the LPL, really it's an intercom.
Yes, it is. This is where games go to die. Jiang does not have teleport to go up to the side of the map, it's worth noting. XQW does. That might be a mistake, actually, from Ultra Prime. They're just giving it up for free. They can't contest it. There's no teleport in your Scion. It's a free Atacam. Not great macro, actually, from the last few minutes from Ultra Prime.
No, it's been a bit problematic, and they are down now 5,000-ish gold. 4.5, let's be kind, but still a lot of gold.
But LGD pull away from it. Well. So Atacam doesn't go down. Ultra Prime stopped that. I'm kind of surprised that LGD didn't stick around for it. Maybe afraid of, smite contests and blah blah blah. But they do end up getting the mid lane turret anyway. They'll go towards the dragon. So Ultra Prime, they stop the Atacam, but they lose the turret, they lose the dragon, still losing out in a big way across the map.
XQW can solo this for forever. He's got Blade of the Rune King, the Mortal Shield Bow, and his Yone. So we'll just kill this dragon for free by himself.
Does Trundle Pillar stop your own Scion's ults? Yes, it does, because terrain is terrain. If he hits terrain, it goes down like that.
There you go again.
So now the Atacan's getting started. There will be a contest for this. Ultra Prime, they're going for a little bit of a Hail Mary. They're losing a lot of HP to this. Steal the Sejuani ultimate might come down to a flip.
At the end there, Climber goes to look for the angle. Sassy flashes on forward. Oh dear, Ultra Prime. That's looking very pretty as in comes the ult on the other side. Just get on top of Savior. Big chunk onto him. But the problem is the damage onto Savior is not enough to keep him alive. Ejan goes down as they just stack on the front line. Eventually, Savior survives. Will run away from the zombie. It's interrupted by the Mortal Steel. And Atakan is gratefully picked up by LGD. Courteously started by Ultra Prime.
In the last 3 minutes or so, Dragon died. Mid lane out of turret died. They ended up losing the Atakan as well. They lose the fight, losing 4 members. 4? 3? 3 members in it. 3, sir. 3. And they lose themselves in inner turret as well. LGD have had a rampant last 5 minutes, and Ultra Prime just fallen apart. I don't think they've chosen the right moves across the map. I think that they performed very poorly around the Herald defense earlier, allowing the Sion to die. And everything snowballed since then. They couldn't quite get the mid lane turret. They couldn't quite get themselves into points of power. They're right here. You know, they start an Atakan. The Trundle basically gets flashed before he can even press his ult. That's pretty unforgivable as a Trundle, actually. You need to make sure you do get your subjugate down before you're CC'd. I think he was in range to do so just there, but didn't react in time, sadly. You can buffer it as the Sejuani keys towards you. Just press R and hope he gets into range. But yeah, Jun Hao, best moment for him there. 1 and 3.
Oh yeah, sliding away. Remember the ramping moves beyond XQW as he can keep hunting. He's got quite deep for this, though. Oh boy, damage on the Depaya, though. It's still nothing to sniff at.
Yeah, he's got himself the correct cloak, so he's got, what, 80% crit now, something like that. And reminder, Yone, one of the big buffs he got a while ago was that his crits are now regular damage. One of the tried and true things about League of Legends is that Yone, Yasuo, they crit more, but they crit less powerfully. Now they just crit more. So, nasty stuff there. Objective bounty picked up by Ultra Prime, but they are against a 3 grub team, and there's a Chakram of Valios there, which means that they're going to lose an inhibitor probably before the time they get back.
Looks to be that way. They try to go for the bounty play. You get what you can, I suppose, because you are likely going to be losing this anyway. TP behind. Now we get some interesting moments. Sion will go unstoppable, look into the backside with that onslaught, but now Xiao on the back and flash onto Savior. Good kill onto that. Felios. The turnaround there with the Fate Shield is good. In comes the Redemption, healing people back up. Jun Hao is low. Permafrost, Winter Spike, concussive blows also scary, but Jun Hao surviving is getting sucked by the maiden. XQW goes down, but not before Sassy bonks some heads. Saber's trying to find an angle as Climber gets away. He's trapped in the Dark Procession, and all of the ghouls ensure that Sassy gets a triple for Climber.
And the triple melee synergy for the Sejuani means that they get so much permafrost down. What became a defensive inhibitor will now be a loss of the game. It is all on Gen to try and wave clear something, and I don't think the Sion can do that.
I appreciate the attempt. Ultra Prime do not go out quietly, but go out they will. The mid game has been LGD's, and they have refused to let go of it. They'll bonk on the Nexus turret a few more times. Some last rites delivered, courtesy of the Gravedigger from the Shadow Isles, and for all I think will take a second or two longer than you might expect, it is still a done deal.
Yeah, they went a bit low though. Laning phase, same with the Udyr, and hope they can use that laning advantage to win.
Eyes then also have to turn towards this bot side. Kalista Renata used to be the S tier early prio lane. As much damage as you could stomach. A lot of early skirmishing. Kalista in general has struggled of late. Bard in general rising in priority. Corky Bard could theoretically be very nasty in those early levels. You might be able to play for full court press here depending on how everything goes. And then if you get the early prio, maybe Ultra Prime never get to actually turn online with what could be a very nasty pick comp. We'll wait and see, of course. I think my eyes therefore turn down towards that bot lane, which looks a little volatile to my eyes. Climber going to be spotted out likely by that ward there put on the red buff. Give some idea about where junglers are pathing. Too much scariness here in this early game. YCX throwing out an empowered auto into the cosmic binding. Hell yeah, Bard things. Don't know what is this. Is this a T1 Bard? It might be actually. I don't know. Oh, good stun. Heal for heal, just away from the Renata loyalty program. It is T1 Bard. There you go. Thank you very much, Hal. Another Cosmic Binding lands. Not too all that much damage, though. Just looking for some chunks. Saber is eating the shove, unfortunately, in mid lane. Good chunks here from XQW. Still got more pots to work with. And Saber, actually, a couple games now, has really struggled in these early lanes versus XQW. Down a lot of CS early on. Mind the last game, had to back at 8 CS on that Silas. Only came back into lane with a refill pot, and XQW ended up being a menace across the whole of that game. Bot side, good handshake Still got those hot chocolates to pick up. Ooh, Saber! He's dead! Last auto! Electrocute and passive, and Saber dies in a 1v1 versus the bunny rabbit. Oh, Saber, that's not good. They needed the Aurora to be ahead. They needed her to be a real threat. Well, that's a good way to start it. I'm going to need a replay on that one, because this time it's not a 8 CS back, it's a 7 CS. It's another refill first back. XQW goes back for an Amp Tone and a Dark Seal. Saber still caught at level 2, has no HP. I think he just eats it across the veil as the level 3 comes on through. Yeah, watch, he'll get the level 3 off this, immediately gets to zone Saber off the wave, autos to get the passive rolling, and flashes forward for that last auto. Double passive procs, and the Spirit Abjuration will see Ahri sent to the other side of the veil. That's not good from Saber in the slightest. Unfortunate scenes. Now up 700 gold. RLGD. Slight shoves top side. Importantly, big lead in mid lane. Solid laning bot side as well. The Corki's just fine here. Has got the Bard going on a bit of a roam there before the reset comes on through. Wants to pick up as many of those meeps as they can. Get to see a reset really bot. There goes that Bard looking for that. Gets himself an early Control Ward and Ruby Crystal. Mid lane is going to be the real discrepancy, because of course Saber burned his flash out of the XQW, but early differential in terms of AP will be really annoying for Saber to manage. Across the veil we go. Another twofold Hex, and ow, the Electrocute. Yeah, that one's going to sting. Auto plus 2 Qs. Level 6 isn't far off, actually, from XQW. That can make things interesting. Might be able to force a level 6 v5 discrepancy. Look for the big chunk onto the Ahri. We should get it on the next wave and a half, something like that. Neferi is behind, will be on Raptors, so theoretically come join if there was a 1v1 that was pulled by XQW. No, because of the ward where the Neferi is. There's the level 6. And wait for that Neferi to leave. Might well be heading towards that Dragon Pit. We'll just put a ward down behind. Leave that one there. Ward over the wall from XQW as well to potentially spot out Neferi engage. Magical journey away on the bot side. And Corki will need to reset shortly to go get their first buy of the game. Berserker Greaves done for buy, and Berserker Greaves on Kalista. Very important. She loves attack speed, powers her passive, all these things that make Berserker Greaves your optimal first back on the whole. Corki doesn't actually reset here. And we'll clear out that control ward. No level 6 v5 all in from XQW. Can't find the angle. I mean, Saber gets towards level 6 themselves. The problem is, of course, they have been zoned off a minion or two here. It's been a bit problematic. YCX now behind. Helping clear out this wave with the World Atlas passive. So, early game. Good for LGD. It's not actually led to all that much here, actually, as yet. Corki finally backs, gets himself the Sheen and the Tier. Drop a bit of a wave to do that. You can never really find the truest of backs, but hey, now look to claim most of that and bring that back largely to even. Everywhere else is much of a muchness, and again, we do start hitting, say, that 12 to 18 minute mark, somewhere around there, once first items and first set of ults and fully maxed out abilities come on through. Ultra Prime will have a good window to make things happen. How Ultra Prime start a fight? Kalista ult, Charm, Neferi ult. Effectively, you use your ults to get melee range, and you do it by just using mobility rather than pure CC. You've got quite a lot of pick. Or you counterpunch the likes of Vi going forwards with Renata ults. You've got a lot of mobility. And everyone not named Renata. And even Renata's got a Fate's Call. And the champions of LGD, on the whole, quite short range, can be quite vulnerable to just raw mobility, bluntly. XQW got a very nasty solo kill early on in lane, and so Saber had to...
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this is not a good matchup for Ahri. I said this in draft. I mean, it kind of flips the predator-prey dynamic. Aurora is really good, and one of the reasons why Ahri is stopped being picked so much is because there are a lot more lanes now, which she actually gets punished in early. Grub started. Junhao has the level 6, but no real teammates around to contest right yet. At least 2 are going to go down by the time Jiang's in position to fight.
Teleport both solo laners in the bot lane, so mid laners could theoretically join. Sassy gonna step on forwards. Grub's partly secured. In comes the cease and desist, but that turnaround damage with the Wingborn Swords can force John out to flash away. Xiaoxian's a bit of a difficult position. Will try to find the kill, but the Tempered Fate denies the reset. Finding the bailout works, but it's not enough to keep everyone alive. They lose the jungler and the support. Sassy stunner finally goes on the 2 gold hex just wide. Why is he trying to find some value with Savior straight out with Baye, but he's still gonna render reset, trying to get something back, but LGD are denied multiple resets, whereas Ultra Prime find them all. It was so close until a few skill shots went wide.
That was a messy fight. I thought that actually the Udyr would win that fight by himself. He got insane value onto the backline. The first item, kind of spike for Udyr, kind of around the corner, was really, really powerful. Of course, didn't have it for this fight, but look how much damage Sassy does at the start of this. This is why they picked the Udyr. There's like a 4-mana ult for a bit in there, and then the Bard ult lands. I'm not going to lie, it's massive anti-synergy. Could have quite easily killed out the Renata there before the bailout came through. Quite a little bit more time for Sassy to keep working. And then you can just see that Savior gets blasted by the barrier coming through from Kalista, allowing a little bit more time for those resets to come through. As you mentioned, you know, the Ahri gets them too. Jiang gets a double kill too. His Ambassador has been very good in the early game, actually, as of late. And LGD now find themselves 1,000 gold behind before 10 minutes.
And that was after the Aurora misses a couple key skill shots. And in fairness to the Tempered Fate, it did deny the Neferi ult reset. Could have been potentially quite scary.
Now fix the volume as well now, folks.
Ah, sorry, I flipped that up. My bad.
Sometimes we're able to Junhao jumping over the wall. He does have W and Smite, can survive a little bit. It's kind of too low HP to do that much about it, though. Yeah, you back over, give up the Smite.
Do that. Now they need to magical journey potentially out to safety. Baye goes looking for the Pierce. Can't find it as the Valkyrie comes on down. We'll drop a little bit of a wave to make that dragon play happen, but hey, it's the end of the world there for Savior.
Well, did you get that first dragon of the game? Wasn't taken early, only at the 10-minute mark, as you can see up there. And survived a little longer into the game. The average life expectancy of dragons quite low.
Very low.
Quite low in League of Legends. Can't think of many species which have a lifespan measuring in minutes. I suppose technically minions have even less. I think there's got to be a real study, an academic study done into the lifespan of the various creatures of Summoner's Rifts. The Q actually missing from XQW. Saber trading well here.
He is. Saber. Best to get around as Yichang. Always end up having a few people in his lane. Not to all that much there, though. And we are 1,500 gold for Ultra Prime right now. A bit beyond that. Here goes Saber looking for the ult with the across the veil already in. I think XQW might well be in danger as forced to ult themselves. Nazari, after that last skirmish, is right back in this game, honestly.
And that's an important thing there, because Saber has the Malignance completion. XQW doesn't go for that. He's going towards the Leandries first. So, in fact, this is one of those times in the game where Ahri has a shorter ult cooldown than XQW, and also a reminder that Saber has five Ultimate Hunter stacks as well. So he already has, before his even 10-minute mark, had 80 ult haste, which is insane. That is almost half cooldown. This is why Ahri is so often referred to as a snowball champion. It's why the Malignus has been so popular, and of course when you go the Electrocute runes as well, you get access to that ult Hunter. Having double uptime on your Ahri ult is so insane, despite the fact that Malignus isn't always actually that great a damaging item, because the actual active effect is much worse than, say, something like Illudens a lot of the time. Gives you so much extra ability to outplay matchups that you just couldn't do before the era of Malignus. When I think about matchups like Fizz, Zed, Talon, especially stuff like LeBlanc too with their ult, which is, I mean, that's still the case now. Before, you had to think very carefully about, do I bother wasting my ult here? Can I just outstep? Because it's a really big loss for me to lose my ult. And this is a problem with the Rod of Ages build, actually. Now with Malignus and the Ultimate Hunter stacked together, you have so much uptime. I mean, the rank 1 Ahri ult has been nerfed quite a lot, actually. It went up to, I think, 120 seconds. So now when you have, level 11 coming around, you've got all of these stats coming up, it's going down more to, like, 80 seconds instead. Junhao jumping forwards in bot side. Saber has that ult again, as we said, and you can notice on the other side, the between worlds isn't up. Saber using that window of time to say, okay, well, I've taken your ult. Taken your ult. That's how we used to say it as a kid.
Is that how you used to say it?
Yeah, that's how we both used to say it as kids, Sam.
Oh, I don't think I knew that.
Well, you said it too.
Ah.
Yeah, because, you know, past tense is hard
true.
for kids. Yeah, Climber potentially ulting into mid lane here.
Flash cease to assist. Valkyrie, big damage, and Bayer will try, but he's just dead. Good dive. Savior may now be traded. The teleport actually was interrupted.
Yeah, it was. It was interrupted by a Tempered Fate. If you look at the cooldowns from YCX, he ended up cancelling that one out. I don't think it would have changed too much. I mean, Savior did have Flash and Cleanse. I think he would have been able to get away safely. So all it's going to be is teleport for ult trade. Yeah, we'll see it now. Yeah, just didn't see them roaming into the lane. The Aurora couldn't stop it, but of course the Bard could.
So Saber with the ult up and available, and the Flash could maybe have run down Saber who's at half HP and had to go the other way. So at the very least would have been some additional summoners loan from Savior. And I can see that the Ahri of all champions teleporting at this point would probably be a fairly significant threat.
We're just talking about the early snowballing potential. Has the Dark Seal now. Sadly, didn't have it for the 2 kills and 3 assists around that earlier play. Of course, that's the other part of the Ahri gameplay, which I am a very, very strong advocate for, is get Dark Seal first back every single game. It is an incredibly important enabling item for arguably the best user of Magi's in the game. There are some extra ones where you think, okay, some drafts, you know, some Mage and Enchanter sports stay very, very safe and they get huge value out of it. Sometimes a champion like, of course, Evelyn, one of your main champions as well, can get great value out of it too. But I'm a firm believer that Ahri uses it to snowball, stacks it effectively, and keeps the stack safe in a way that very few champions do when they do pick up that item. 30 seconds till Dragon. Ultraprime will be looking for another strong 5v5 with EGN particularly at the first item spike 202, another huge part of this team comp. So we see a big fight here.
Looking for it for sure. Climber and a potential bit of threat won't lead to anything else. 15 seconds on Dragon, and LGD just being forced back into their own jungle a little bit. Savvy finds a good shot, but a John Howl.
My dude, he's just hitting so many skill shots onto you. I mean, he does have some fruit onto it. It's about like cute. He's taking a lot more damage than he should do that.
Bard can be quite annoying into Neferi as well, because your minions, much like with Elise, end up providing additional stun targets.
That's a very fair point. Now, they can sometimes get tagged onto each other, which is okay. Depends on where you position them. There used to be a lot more mechanics on how to do that before. In fact, we might even see that here. Not going to land this time from YCX, and the dogs had flown onto Savior as the Q had hit. Dragon is alive. Sassy pushing out topside. Well, he's not pushing it topside. In fact, he's getting wailed on by Egen instead.
Put on that Iron Mantle and be okay for a second or two.
Okay, he's no longer fine. The Iron Mantle's gone.
Yeah, that's over, yeah. Tarnished. He's not got a Steel Mantle, Alex, you know? Not good quality iron.
You are made in this tarnished. YCX is flashing out. Touch Grace, Saber looking for the charm.
Oh, there's the Grace. Touches Savior's heart a little bit. He's forced to cleanse out of it. None of that. Gets off the dating apps real fast.
Cleanse blown. The XQW has it on the other side. A reminder again, Ariel not that long at level 11. 5 ult hunter stacks the Malignants. Uses it to get a summoner. Might be able to return for that. Climber goes towards the top side of the map. Herald is alive. Does he go towards it? No, he doesn't even feel like he can go towards that. Realizes, look, my team's on a reset. They're killing the dragon too quickly. Of course, they have a Callista. They can stick around and kill that fairly quickly, especially with the Blade of the Ring King helping that DPS. And LGD walk away with nothing.
Of all champions to wield the Blade of the Ring King, I feel like Callista's a pretty good one, because she is like
the nephew of the king,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
Or the cousin of the king,
something like that. But it's also like it's part of like the personal guard and stuff.
Yeah, there was a whole lot of stuff, because you know Viego never really wanted to be king at first. It was meant to be his older brother who then died, and then he ended up picking up, and he was not really suited for that position. Very rapturous he was. Jeng taking down the bot side turret. This will be first third of the game. There you go. That's going to be feats of strength a little not for them, because LGD already took themselves the objectives and the kills as well. Herald now into mid lane. Ultraprime had cleared out top side. Potential of a fight in mid lane. Trying to stop that Herald, but they can't quite do so, and it'll kill the full turret.
Oh, good free ball ult from Ejang. I'm going to force Savior to back away a little bit. Can't quite secure the kills. He's going to have to flash out, but that teleport is very deep. Can they turn and punish? Sassy immediately with the Wingborn Storm, though, and again, it is Udyr. Doesn't lead to as much as I think they were hoping for. It looked good from Ejang, but Savior just has Valkyrie and Cleanse.
Ejang can't really get himself the sticking power in that fight. It's a good initial play. And then what we saw there was, you know, the handshake not landing on Sassy, no CC layered over the top. I think there was a punish angle available. Couldn't quite land it from Xiaoxue. Well, he was within range. He just missed it. Sassy didn't flash out. he basically stood on top of the teleport. Didn't get the skill shot on target. That could have been quite an easy kill. Sassy had a very powerful point in the game, though. Does have that Fimbulwinter.
Yeah.
The Fimbulwinter is huge because the Udyr gets so many slows. You pretty much proc it on cooldown. It's an 8-second cooldown, but given that at this point in the game, you often take more than 8 seconds to die, especially in a 1v2, you will proc it twice in most plays.
I will say that the Norse concept of Ragnarok and like the end of days is one of the most metal things in mythology.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously it starts with Fimbulwinter, where the 2 giant celestial wolves eat the sun.
By the way, if people ever want to like know where Tolkien gets his mythos from, with the whole the mother what's the name, Ungoliant,
yes,
the mother of spiders, the spider of darkness, eats the Erd trees basically, not the Erd trees, that's the other one, that's Elden Ring.
Elden Ring,
yeah, but eats the trees of light in the Undying Lands, which is basically the sun. That's where they get it from.
Yep. Very much so. And then obviously all the way back to Old Icelandic if you ever want to learn that language. The Prose Edda is a great option. Can't do Old Icelandic. I can do a bit of Old English, which is close enough to some
Was
sorts.
it many Tekla Barton?
That's you have been judged and found wanting. Which
Yeah,
is
but
the
is that in
writing
Old
on-
English?
That's the writing on the wall. That's Hebrew.
Oh, okay, I didn't realize that. Huh. I thought that, because you quote that a fair amount.
It is. It's because
that was
it
an
is
Old
the
English
it's the OG writing on the wall.
Ah,
That's where that phrase comes from.
Right, cool. Top lane turret's going to get pushed in by LGD. They do have 2 grubs. They'll push them a little quicker because of that. Wouldn't have really needed any of them, though. They'll end up taking that one down. Some gold over towards that Aurora, who's going to even up the matchup between them and the Ahri in the mid lane. Ahri's on their way towards the Leandri's second item. XQW, I guess they're going towards a Riftmaker. We've seen a lot more of the Bloodletter's second, though. The Riftmaker often seen as a little bit superfluous. It's like, okay, you're getting like sustained, but actually what you need is damage. So often people go towards that Bloodletter instead. Gem, as we see, getting perma pushed in by the Udyr. The bonus of having the Udyr is that it does just keep relentlessly pushing lanes.
Jay in chat as well with the goated way to get into Norse mythology, which of course was Age of Mythology.
Yes, oh my god.
Which is kind of how we got there as well.
No, that's Greek.
I thought that was the Norse.
No. Schleppos. That's Greek, Sam. You're forgetting your factions. Clearly,
it's been a while.
Clearly, you're not on the same level as Magyar. So
yeah,
for those of you that don't know, Vizicachi is the faker of Age of Mythology. You know, the pro player, top laner for Old Unicorns of Love. Schalke, absolutely, Schalke points there too. Yeah, Vizicachi was the best player of Age of Mythology of all time.
Yep. It was the reference I was going for as well. So
I know,
good
Sam,
call.
because we have a shared pool of references, which we do dip into.
It's true. I actually chatted to him about that in Nottingham. So
Yeah,
I got to sit down and chat with him about Age of Mythology.
Well, I got to speak to him in the LEC studio just a little bit at points, and yeah, I managed to talk to him a little about that. I added him on Twitter, being like, "Yo, by the way, they're doing like a remaster. You're gonna play this." So I say it's caught out.
Oh boy, the hunt is called, and John Howell gets on top of the bard, who cannot find a magical journey to safety.
That is not so magical. That is an ill-fated, no, ill-tempered fate, I suppose, in that sense. Dragon spawning soon too, without his support coming through. YCX will have teleport, and he'll be up in 10 seconds. They're threatening Atakan, and they do have the teleport from YCX. Is this going to be a quick dragon take and then a roam up? I don't think they can take the dragon in time. I think they're afraid of the Atakan. They want to contest 4v5 and then teleport EGN in if they can. Pushing in towards mid lane now, Ultra Prime. Going to call LGD away from Atakan because now they're afraid they're giving up mid lane turret. LGD are actually contesting now.
Sassy with a lot more HP because EGN ends up taking a fair amount from that dragon. Start to step on forward. Windwallstorm comes on down, and Udyr is back away. Hit by the charm though! Takes a lot of damage. The handshake back. Hostile takeover through Tempered Fate. Buys some time. Fate's call to keep the Renata alive. Bailout on top of EGN, who doesn't get the reset. Sassy hit by another charm, but they can't kill him off. Bai is trying to dance his way up, but can't. And XQW executes with a 2-fold hex. Will ensure he is double tapped. Over the wall goes Savior with a Valkyrie. Can't quite get on top of that one. This time, LGD connect before resets from Ultra Prime can come on through.
5-man Aurora Ultimate makes the difference. XQW, Bunny Hops learned that from his frog days. XQW translates to Little Frog. And he's a big bunny in that one. 3-1-3 coming out of the play. Really, it was about that Aurora Ultimate. That'll open up the Atakan for them. And Ultra Prime, who were in a good position before that, end up losing a huge fight in the middle of that play. It was a good pick onto ICX, but they can't make the play happen before he comes alive. Atakan now cleanly taken for LGD. There is going to be a potential... Hang on, YCX does actually have Spellbook Smite. And the dragon's not that low, actually.
FPX trying to be as obnoxious as he can be. Looking for those Cosmic Binder, but Ejang TPing in. In comes the Hound's Pursuit, and YCX, I think, might be dying in a very similar sort of situation to last time. Gets the Cosmic Binding onto the dogs this time. That means it's not onto Neferi. He keeps throwing out those Dark in daggers, and YCX dies.
So all the things we were saying about, oh yeah, by the way, Bard, really good into the Fury because you stutter against the dogs. Yeah, but also the dogs can tank the stun for you, which is even worse for you. The Dragon will get taken down by Ultra Prime. They'll take an extra kill on top of it. I will say, though, the Atacon is better immediate value for LGD. They are happy with the amount of petals they get from that, the XP and the adaptive force that they gain from it. But
Don't might be dead here.
I don't know. Climber might ult him. There is Sassy coming up.
Yeah, he's just
Okay,
dead.
he's
Yeah.
just dead. Yeah. I was like, oh, well, you know, it's a bit of a long teleport away. Nope. Very, very dead.
Gets hit by the weirding, and the shotgun blast takes the head off Callista.
Was it dead as a doorknob? Is that the
Yes.
is that the saying?
Yeah. Was it dead as a doornail as well, or am I just... Doorknob is probably the correct one.
Sam, it's one of these. Dead as a
I
door.
feel like doornail might be a Terry Pratchettism.
Maybe. Yeah. Reminds me of a really good poem by a guy who's hang on, whatever, we'll talk about that later. Fight's coming through from this one, 5-mana roar.
Yeah,
Let's be honest, folks.
Yeah.
You're all chill until there's a 5-mana roar. Great CC onto Jeng as the retreat is pretty disorderly from Ultra Prime. They don't really get themselves a good Renata roll. They don't really get themselves positioned for the Ballista to get that much work done. And then I don't think, Ari's ult is also just very defensive too. So Ultra Prime failed retreat.
The bailout doesn't come on through in a way that allows Ejang to get back in. He tries the public execution away from, lots of stuff like this. Just means that they don't get what they're looking for.
Nymaera, any advice for talking to German girls? I'm trying to rizz one up right now. Well, what worked for me was streaming Baldur's Gate 3 and making questionable comments about Mizora during that playthrough.
I mean, understandable.
It was, yeah, that worked for me.
Will wasn't very pleased with me, guys.
Same. Same. Anyway, that worked for me, so, you know.
My question is, why is a Warlock in that game? Can you not have Mizora as your patron?
That's a great... I know, right? That's such a sitter. And Mizora ended up being actually a pretty good character.
She was great.
I like the whole thing about actually delving into the... You actually have terms and conditions in here.
Yeah.
You did not read the EULA terms and conditions on your game. That was actually pretty good. I like Will as a character as well, but I just don't think the content was... I think they could have delved way more into the Mizora stuff there. It felt a little bit surface level after a while.
Better than Dillinger. Oh, that's the he was one of the OG like Chicago mob guys, wasn't he?
And that's why the band is called the Dillinger Escape Plan as well. Although funny thing, this is a fun fact. Dillinger Escape Plan once tried to make a set. They wanted to say, I don't want anyone to be able to follow our act. So the guy took a dump on stage.
Oh.
And I was like, well, you can't follow that now. Yep, Dillinger Escape Plan, the band of all time. Climber across the Tempest Fate.
Good
Missing
heal.
that.
From Shao, she gives him enough move speed to escape. It is down about half HP. Saber did have to burn ult as well. Took a couple charges, looking for a charm angle. Get a bit of a chunk onto YCX, and you'll take what you can get, I suppose, if you are having your ult timeout anyway.
Right, Ultra Prime. And end up falling away to that play. The goal's still within decent touching distance. This game could come down to one good ultimate from either side. This is the kind of game we're seeing, you know, one good Vi ultimate, one good Aurora ultimate, as we saw before, was the changer in that last play, but you know, similarly, good Renata ult, good Ambassador ult, make the difference for Ultra Prime. The vision has been starved out by LGD around that Baron. Ultra Prime using the Redemption to check, but they don't have eyes on. This is where the big ultimates have got to land.
Oh, it's a sting operation. Police operative in the backline gets on public enemy #1 by here. Just about to find those. The hostile takeover was solid enough for a second or two. The problem is Savior has been melting the front line. It's another phenomenal between worlds from XQW on the Aurora. Ejang needs to Dracount step out to safety. Sassy runs really fast at the remaining member. Tempered Fate, T1 logo, Cosmic Binding, playing like some world champions.
LGD, the vision play was immaculate there. Starve out the vision and the information that Ultra Prime have. Force them into a position where they have to take a risk on where they move on the map. Just so happened that they moved into a position that Climber was well and ready to respond to. Gets an awesome ult into the backline. He even got like a double shunt back with his ult onto two members stood next to Baye as well, punting them into his own team. Really well played by Climber. And sadly for Ultra Prime, they just let that vision slip away from them a little too long in the wrong position, and they were punished for it.
Got to pick up this Baron now as well as a result of this game. Looking like it's all but done. LGD just got to dot their I's and cross their T's probably a few extra names of Ultra Prime members off the list. We'll have a look again. Climber, really good flank angle here. Threatens by air, forces an awkward tree.
But look at the double punt back.
Oh.
No, Saber immediately pushed into the enemy team, was alongside the support of Xiaosha as well. I think that's actually the killer. It's not even, weirdly, the Vi ult onto the Callista is one of the buffs which happened to the Vi ultimate a little while ago, which is that secondary targets hit when you're flying towards your initial target are knocked a little further and for a little longer. The CC and the damage came up tops there.
Shout out to Shinya on G2 Health, who pulled off the phenomenal R flash to realign the ult angle to knock up 4 people. It's just like, oh, that's very clean.
You do similar things with Nautilus too, but Ultra Prime, despite having that great fight earlier into the game around the top side of the map, just haven't quite cleanly enough been able to enable their playmaking pieces. I think their macro round objectives a little less good than LGD. Reminder, folks, this game doesn't have stakes, but it is important because both these teams are confirmed going into the play-ins to playoffs. And now, what that means is that, you know, if you finish, you are going to be finishing in 4th place here from Ultra Prime and then 3rd place for LGD. Ultra Prime are going to be confirmed playing against the best of the teams from Ascend, which are going to be knocked down to that bracket, which is the 5th place team in Ascend, which is likely to be a team like JDG or Weibo or what have you. They need some momentum, they need some confidence, playing out as best of fire. Hang on a second, that's a good ult.
Oh, get 2W though immediately, gets to go Golden Tempered Fate, buys some time now the season to sit to the back line between World Bailout. It's not enough to keep the Ambessa alive. It was supposed to be an easy one into the likes of an Udyr. It's not been as the game goes on. XQW will take a turret shot.
He'll take 2. He'll take 2. The double arrow shotgun. Well, the tower of all things takes down the bunny. 5-2 and 8. Not even able to save himself in that one. LGD, I think they will still be rolling forwards for at least double inhibitors here, though.
Ironic. Bring other people's health bars down to low, but not keep his own up. Something like that. But we'll see exactly whether the Emperor Bunny Teen in the mid lane will come back in time for the end of this game. There's 30 seconds before a teleport can come on through. An LGD with Baron on top of them are just running at these next turrets. Saber forth back to the mountain.
I think you'll find this bunny station is fully operational.
You may end the game when ready, LGD. The base on Yavin 4, unfortunately for them, is going to be blasted by the Empire of Laogandia, now known as LGD. It's spicy sauce time, and they win 2-1.
This time they don't just end up hitting.
Stick to the rift we go. Crowds, up to you. Well, there goes our Gyos. FPX going to get a bit of vision down here and there, but they will be spotted out doing so. That's what comes on. Not too much to be seen here. No invades, just some wards traded. It's the usual Raptor vision. The trade bot side is Varus Bard versus Nymaera Nico. Double range, so lots of attempting to fire for that value. BLG being BLG will burn the heal and look to trade aggressively to get the shove. Should theoretically hit level 2 a little faster. You can see Jachi down a fair amount of XP relative to Elk. Zoned off this wave well. On in the form of Nymaera to get the better auto attack animations. Booming Burst, chokes out Chue, who misses that Cosmic Binding. Jachi has been an enjoyer of this Bard where and when he can get away with it, but right now in the early lane, the poke of the Q a lot more easy to land than vice versa. The level 2 hit, the wave is crashed. So far so good for FPX in terms of picking up the farm. At least worth noting, Jachi's gone towards the teleport. Ability to reset a bit more freely. With the Arcane Comet as well, despite the nerfs, we're looking for that lethality build. Could trade there from Sheer onto Finn. Stun for part 2 of the twofold Hex as Care is shoved under this turret, and that might be a bit of a pain point as well. Knight into Care. Care has been struggling. The Care Bear has not been giving the warm hugs required of late. There's the exhaust early from Bin there. A bit worried about that all in. Down that summoner spell. Too much happening really right now, is there? Jungle's just been clearing. Reset from Jway. Might leave Jachi a little bit out at risk, but it's farming well enough from range not to be under too much threat, has to be said. Yeah, we'll eat a nasty trade there. Is there a twofold Hex on part of that? No, there's not. There was the Spirit Abjuration stack, but couldn't get that last auto with spell. Ends up being another bit of a chunk there. Care does still have that ability to teleport, but maybe asked to do so a little earlier than would be nice. What the hell? FPX JJ? Yeah, they just picked him up over the last few days, so this is his debut, having been let go from IG. Quay now looking for a play into mid lane. Knight does get over into the Veil. Gets out to safety there. Will be asked to reset. Earlier than Care as a result though, but it does mean that Jachi is now left alone with this turret. Elk's going to step beyond. Arc of Ruin. Jachi needs to land a good Q. Flash away from On. And the turret is well aggroed. Elk gets to back away. Jway's roam mid lane comes at the cost of the AD carry's life. Nicely done from BLG's bot side, who have been very aggressive with these Nico lanes in terms of looking for those types. Didn't even need the Cannon form this time. At least Jachi with the teleport will be able to return to lane and pick up some of this wave. It's a much better back from Elk, who's coming back to lane with that Vamp Scepter and the Cull. Care eats a shotgun blast, courtesy of a weirdie. At the very least, because of that TP, should be able to get the wave crashing and back towards them before On and Elk can truly control the wave. They will be able to make that one happen. Does Jachi look to reset again? He will. What does he have on reset? Dirk, maybe? Boots? Nothing. Refill pot. Hanasaki, Bin trading out with Sheer here. Sheer's already got the level 6. Bin does not. I think Bin's potentially just dead. Misses his empowered snip, and Bin is just going to die. Oh no, how did that one happen? Decent snip back, but there's still an scrap shield to work with. So the kill comes across just fine. Knight now going across the Veil in between worlds. As On comes roaming in as a cannon minion. There's the heal from the cannon to prove it's not really a cannon, guys. Care will be forced to flash away. It is into a very even game state. Good dive bot, and then Sheer just gets the level 6 first, and a little bit of an assist from Sheer leads to a kill top side as well.
Actually being behind that far on the Varus
God dove
is a problem. Yeah, I mean, but Varus needs to be controlling the lanes that he's in. Now, Varus is, and has been for a long time now, incredibly high pick ban because he just controls an entire game if he gets ahead, much like Caitlyn Karma does to a certain extent. Varus just does it on his own, is the thing. He doesn't need someone like that. Karma and is significantly less vulnerable as a champion compared to someone like a Caitlyn. And honestly, much easier for him to put out value. Problem is now, no flash. Behind in CS, Wave's pushing away from him. Shadow has level 6 as well.
Q on a Jway into the cease and desist, and Jachi is dead. Very nicely managed.
Well, that's how you punish the Varus. The Wave and now suddenly the Wave instantly pushed back into him. He's losing another 5 CS. It's a free reset coming through from Elk. Jachi has been dunked on. And that is a lost condition now. The Varus is not going to be that useful. Now, the poke from the Varus is not going to be able to force people out of lane now, force them to pay respect. Instead, it's just going to be a mild annoyance.
Yeah, and I think BLG, for context, is while you were acquiring a bit of a break, basically, Jway went on a roam, to mid lane, and as a result, they went, oh, it's a 2v1, and we've got shovers. Nymaera and Nico will burn our heal and just dive the guy. And it worked out really well. Had already lost the race to level 2 because On landed some really good Qs, whereas Way didn't quite manage to find the turnaround themselves, and it all kind of snowballed from there. Now we're looking to mid lane.
Oh, stun on the Invisible Aurora. Jumping down, low HP. Do they have the follow-up they need? I'm not sure. Just the flash away from Knight, but a good stun there from Care, catching out Knight as he went invisible towards him.
Get the flash at the very least. There was no ult from Knight, so he would have been potentially at risk looking for the Tangle Bob. He'll land it onto Dway, but don't get too much more. Pop Blossom, though. His magical journey. Nice idea. It goes wrong.
Out there, good damage.
Oh, good flash! Nicely done, and gets the solo.
We've been talking a lot of crap about Nymaera in the late game, but in the early game, it has been very, very strong here. And the AD carry 1v1 goes the way of L.
Lands the Arc of Ruin, gets to E flash over the R. Jachi now 0 and 3. The early dive, I can forgive. The other 2 deaths, well, that's just insult to injury.
So Grub's going over to the side of FPX. BLG will not be contesting after they used that Nico ult. And the failed pick onto Dway. L getting solo time on this tower. Nasty stuff. Using that Q onto the next wave as well. Nymaera over 1,300 gold ahead. Yikes. So what happens here? I guess he just presses the E. Hits with a bit of the slow. Gets the Q activation. Hits with the Arc of Ruin. Flashes the ult. Easy. He's like, you know what? I actually don't think he needed the flash. I think he could cleanse and use the lower cooldown, and I think it'd still kill him. Then remember, there was no flash on the Varus at that point. Oh, they're using the cannon aggro again. Oh, it's disgusting.
They do. They have started doing this time and time again now. For a little while, it felt like only Caps was doing it, but the last couple of weeks, Honor's been doing this on repeat.
Also, APA, another player who really made the use of that. One of the things which he pioneered was if you throw a Q, then turn into a minion before the Q hits on the Nico, the enemy champion will not get Doran's shield or second win because it's not damage coming from a champion, it's damage coming from a minion at that point. And yes, that does work that way. So you can deny second win, a bone plating at some points too, although actually you want to blow that most of the time. But you can deny some damage like that. Shadow does have, you know, his ult back off of cooldown. No one really in the area to follow up on him. BLG, the early game's destructive. This is not necessarily where the problem has been for BLG. And again, they are against a team which is 1-11, new jungler, what, their 5th jungler of the year of whatever it is.
Yeah, 6th change, 5th jungler.
Yeah, because so remember folks that BLG, while we've memed them from going from Shun to Wei to Shun to Wei again to Beichuan to Shadow, and now over to, well, yeah, that's well. So it's basically 6 jungle changes for them. FPX went from, well, they had Milky Way last year, and then they changed over to Sorrow. Then they changed over to IE. No, Monkey wasn't on the list.
Sorry.
They went over to IE. Then they went back to Milky Way again. Then they went to IE again. Then Milky Way again for one series. And then back to IE. And then over towards GIG as well. So technically 8 changes throughout the year, although one of them's one series. So maybe you call that just, I don't know, just 7 or 6 or something like that. Both of these teams have figured out the hard way that changing jungler is one of the hardest things to do in a Pro League of Legends team. Doing that so far into a season where every other roster has started to settle and get so much more synergy for them is very, very risky to do. Now I say that, LPL did change 20% of the league before we came into this 3rd split. There's been a lot of changes coming through for split 3 of LPL. Both of these teams have had the rough end of it.
Very much so. Now a dive onto Ben, who's not been having a great time in this early lane. Already died effectively in the 1v1. Will spot out 3 people, dodge the Cosmic Binding. Down the control ward, sees GG there. Jachi's around as well. Up comes On in the form of the Gwen. Ben's going to have to try and buy some time. Still got the Hallowed Mist, throws it down, trying to buy a bit of space. The Equalizer will be enough to help bring that down, but GG chunked low. Knight here between worlds. Flash for the magical journey, and GG gets out.
Nice flash away from the combo of Knight. He doesn't want to follow through that journey, of course, so the teleport not amounting to that much from Knight. Please don't walk up to this Knight. Walking close towards the outside of it. Caught by a Varus ult. The Q doesn't land onto the wall. I don't think it'll matter, though. Knight been had his helm ripped off.
He's had that happen a couple times here. Oh, I'm looking for the kill. Can't get it for the heal after. And he dies as well. Oh, Knight and On. I've seen this once or twice too many over the last few weeks.
A poor response to the dive. BLG, their early game plans often do go awry, and right here, they got themselves the lead, but they lose so much after. Care now getting jumped on.
He does get jumped on. Arc of Ruin comes onto an Elf. Is going to be helping pick up a kill for Shadow here on this Vi.
So BLG strike back in the mid lane, but, you know, things have been really not as clean given how far ahead they were across the entire map. FPX get themselves 2 good kills on that top side as, yeah, BLG's awareness of where FPX are moving has been a little bit lackluster in that last minute or so. At least they managed to get care in their mid lane.
I think it's also fair to say that BLG in general, post about the 15-minute mark, this time it's a little earlier, have been known to say, yeah, we can outplay it. And they overplay a hand, they overplay a response to try and turn it around. They see Bins getting dived and they go, right, we can teleport in and try and save this. And then it just goes horribly wrong. They just get greedy, they get arrogant, bluntly, in terms of trying to play this out.
Yeah, they do. I mean, there's no reason for Knight to walk up the way that he did. And we've questioned Knight randomly overstaying side lanes multiple times now. This might be the 3rd or 4th time this has happened this split, where actually he's responded to a play where Bin's gotten dove, overstays and dies. It happened versus Invictus Gaming, it happens here. Probably other examples I can think of too. And then, you know, the heal, the shrine comes through onto JJ. I think the shrine was there, the healing shrine.
As well from the
well, no, I said the heal, but the healing shrine.
As well.
So I was wondering if it was a double heal. Anyway, enough healing to save his jungler there.
It all goes a bit awry. BLG, though, still got a very strong Nymaera. Still doing okay from mid lane again, because poor old Care is down about 30 CS at this point. The only place that does have a lead is this Rumble. In fairness, Sheer on a Rumble could be a win condition if they can find it out.
FPX going for a red buff steal. Easy enough for them. Herald in a minute. They've got control over topside. They've got huge control over topside, in fact. The fact that Knight died in the way that he did after using his teleport meant that he can't really stick around on topside. They give up topside control. They are going to go towards bot side instead. They do have Aurora ult. There is no flash on Sheer, and they choose not to go for the kill, to go for the tower instead. They lose the first turret race, though, because Knight doesn't hit the turret. You could have gotten first turret there. BLG give that up. Lots of strange mistakes from BLG, and this is why I just cannot see BLG being a top 3 team right now. This is against a 1-11 FPX. They had a magnificent early game lead, and they end up making a huge mistake, and another one comes through. On doesn't even have flash.
Yeah, he's going to be in so much danger now. They just turn back onto him, and this keeps happening at this time in the game. The mid game gets arrogant, gets lazy.
I'm not going to lie, it normally happens like 5 minutes after this. No, it's been coming in a little bit earlier this time for BLG, but it does happen, you know, beyond those first few levels. No, BLG used to be, well, they couldn't play out the first 10 minutes of the game, and then they come alive in the mid-game. Now it's the opposite way around. They've sorted out bits and pieces of their early game. Not all the time, even then. And now they just throw things caution to the wind. Herald getting started. Bin's on the flank. Good stun!
Oh, and it's very aggressive. You didn't have your AD carry or support. Your AD carry is the one that gets punished. Temper Fate onto Shadow is now frozen in place. The exhaust comes on down. Can try and Vault Breaker away, but he's already going to go down as well. And it's the patented BLG Gigarit.
BLG. Poor objective setup has plagued this team for even their strongest points of this more recent era. BLG walk up towards that Herald, assuming that they can just take the fight. Knight coming back in, gets a good ult.
Doing well. Jaxi's going to flash away. Care's also taken low. The pop blossom comes on down with the equalizer. Not fantastic, actually, from Sheer. On survives. Sheer goes down to Knight as he managed to get that last auto across, so they do at least get one back.
They do, and the burn will not kill on. The Herald does drive into mid lane turrets. Good damage there. Worth noting, BLG, with that kill, do get themselves 1,000 gold ahead of FPX. The problem is not the fact that BLG are ahead. The problem is how the hell did they manage to make the plays which put this game into much more of an open-ended question than the way it was before. Sheer potentially getting... Hang on a second, flashing forwards, goes overheats.
Knight is dead. It's happened again.
Flashes and dies. Knight dying in the side lane. What has happened to the best player in the LPL? Catch on the bot side of the map, but Knight is not part of it. They'll clean up on the bottom side, kill down Dwayne. But BLG, mistake after mistake on individual and macro levels.
Problematic at the very least. Help get another one there. That is good news. And again, BLG may well still win this game, but this is against a 1-11 team, and BLG's last 5, I think they're what, 2 and 3?
For a second, I thought you called him alcohol, and I'm like, man, he's drunk driving a Nymaera. 3-1-3, still 1,000 gold ahead. Has Flash Cleanse, no ult this time. Dragon's going to get started. Elk would want to stack up his Q onto the Dragon before a fight comes around, because he doesn't have it ult to transcend.
Does not indeed. The stun onto Shadow, he's just blasted as Care flashed on him, gives him a big old hug. Gonna try and turn this around. The Chains of Corruption comes on down. Bin is now low. Tibber's running at him. Tempered Fate will not hit Knight, but Elk has to flash away. And FPX find a good fight as BLG again. The questions are being asked. What is going on around these objectives? What is going on in weak side?
BLG falling in that fight to a team with their 6th jungle change of the year. No, folks, it's not just you that can do it. FPX bring in JJ, who'd spent the year on IG, on that super team. Knight, hang on, might look for a revenge kill here. Has ult in just a little bit. There you go. Gets his revenge. Gets a pop out of Fog of War. It's not to say that Knight has only had poor get plays this game. He's still 1,000 gold ahead. One of the problems with Knight is that he sometimes will just death push and randomly die, but he does get value from those death pushes all the same. So this is the dragon fight itself. You don't have the Nymaera ultimate. Stun onto Shadow, as you said, and their engaged threat is now gone. On also not having his flash and the ult for display. So he's not exactly there for engage. Well played by FPX to realize, okay, well, they have one engaged threat. We take care of that, and the fight becomes a lot easier.
Looks like BLG have been very generous with their ults, and they come into these big plays, down a few key summoners, down a few key ults, and still try to play out the fights regardless. And a lot of these percentages are just too low to be taking, even against a team like FPX. It is greedy, it is arrogant, it's the terms I've been using, and I think they have to be brought up again and again, because that's what we're seeing from this team, from these players.
No, and again, BLG, they are against the worst team in Group Ascend here. Now, it's not to say that they haven't had, just bad plays. They've had some great picks. Shadow had some great ults. The early game was fantastic. But we hold BLG to a standard which is much higher than other teams, because we know that they are our most recent world finalists. They went to Game 5, one team fight away. Now, they have, of course, been on a much different trajectory this year. Do we hold them to that same lofty expectations to the same level? No, not quite, but still, this is a team which should realistically be contending for LPL titles despite the downfall of the team, and particularly on an individual level. Players like Knight, players like Bin, we have known them to be actually the best in their role. I think Knight is the best player in the LPL. In fact, he is still my best mid laner, I think, across the split. Despite the mistakes like this, that's just the level which he plays at. But the perspective is hard for this one. You're putting things into the right kind of level in terms of our analysis. Do we criticize them? Do we praise them for things that we think where they should be doing much more regularly? It's a hard conversation to have.
Again, you then look at people like Knight, got blasted in the lane. Bin blasted in lane. Knight, who did well in the lane, but then get caught out repeatedly. It's problematic. On as well. Good laning phase, great early dives, and then the 10-minute instart coming on through, and that's a close of players who haven't been changed out. Honestly, I don't think Shadow's been the issue this game. I don't think Elk's been the issue this game, but the rest of the players, you've got to hold them somewhat accountable here.
No, for sure. I mean, BLG, typically when they've been losing games recently, it has been because, I think Elk's team fighting has been a lot worse than it was in the past. I think that in some ways the team is playing less for Elk as a late game carry, and I think that shows in some cases. He's not been giving as much setup by the rest of his team. BLG have actually been playing much more towards Knight, actually, in terms of recent splits. But I think what you can see now is Elk, it's a good game from him here. He did have a huge lead, but even then, it's back to even. The rest of the team has ended up throwing a lot of gold back towards Jachi, who's now got 5 kills, and BLG will not be fighting from an advantage. They'll be fighting from even. Real credit to FPX. I know we're talking about BLG. That's the team which, of course, people have more impressions of because of their recent international performances and XYZ. FPX, 1-11 team, going even into the mid-game. We have the Atacon potentially ready. JJ is on vision here. That could be a worry.
That's a phase check. There's a tangle path, but they don't have the damage.
Oh, they're not. Remember, that is just a regular combo. They don't use their ultimates. Now, you could just take that half chunk and say, let's style that Atacon. They're using the redemption to make sure that JJ can stick around. Do they see that in the Fog of War? I think you can, actually. Atacon started. Sniper Fate used to check it out.
I'm going to miss out the Atacon itself, so I won't delay the slowdown. But BLG, you've heard of Genghis, you've heard of Kubla. Welcome to Intercon. See whether they can turn this one around.
Shadow!
Stunned around, Shadow on the backside. Blows up the Wukong alongside Ben. The equalizer back. It's good though, and Shadow's dead as a result. Oh, BLG. The needle's coming out. Dway flashes away. And in the end, the shred onto Shadow with that really well-timed equalizer makes it a bit of a mess.
Oh, it should have been a clean win for them, but Shadow goes down to an equalizer and a bit of extra follow-up damage from FPX. I really want to praise Dway here for his Bard play. What he ended up doing was giving that magical journey to allow Jachi to poke from one angle, go over the wall and poke from another, reposition. Often around Atacon, the terrain is what ends up winning or losing you a fight. On, great initial play here. Comes out of Fog of War, catches out Care, which has often been, the big part of the go button for FPX. You think, okay, well, now the combo's down from the Annie. Surely that'll make a big difference. But Shadow gets caught on the Atacon damage, and the equalizer goes down. Ends up making it a 1-for-1. Dwayne not being killed by the needlework at the back end. And BLG, while the start of that fight looked good, can't capitalize.
Now Dragon's up. We saw a point for BLG. Gold is pretty much dead even, bluntly. FPX are in a pretty good position to fight this. No Muramana transformation quite yet. Varus again notoriously stacks that one quite slowly. BLG back to Atacon. Interesting.
Yeah, they're going up towards it. I mean, they would be giving up the Soul Point, but look, FPX are not in position to contest this. They will push out mid lane. I'm a little afraid that they've left this Dragon start a little late, actually. BLG might be able to teleport over to it with the Gwen, hold it in a 5v4, and give enough time for Shadow to come down. This is a very late Dragon start. Do BLG want to contest? Suppose not. Atakan for Dragon. It'll be 2-2 in terms of Dragons. BLG collecting the Atakan.
Interesting to give up that Atakan for free. I'm not sure how I feel about that choice. I think it has become, despite the changes, and we obviously at the start of the year had the ruinous and voracious varieties. Now we just got Thornbound as a constant. It feel like, no, maybe this Atakan isn't quite as potent. And then we went, actually, no, Petals are really strong. The slow on kill is still actually really strong. It helps you snowball, and it has become a pretty nasty objective.
Yeah. I think realistically, the buff is just such a decorative thing. It's like the actual buff of the things on kill. That's whatever. Realistically, it's a win harder thing, which can very much help in some points. But the thing which actually turns the game is, oh, suddenly you're half a level up on where you should have been.
Yeah.
Oh, suddenly you actually got an extra 20, 30 AP or whatever from, I can't remember how much it comes up to, but an extra amount of damage, which can be really, really unexpected, and players can sometimes miss that out in their damage calculations. FPX will give that over. The gold remains fairly even. They're very happy picking up a Hextech Dragon. The Hextech Dragon, in terms of base value, giving some ability, haste, and attack speed, useful for every single champion in the game. And yeah, Luano, by the way, yes, while there might be some issues around the Shadow kind of citizenship thing, largely it's an administration error. That's the thing. It's not actually stopped Shadow from playing. Obviously, he's still playing here. I know there were some rumors about him dual citizenship, which is a bit of an awkward subject in China. I don't believe China allows you to have dual citizenship, but it's an admin error. Hopefully, it's getting sorted out, and it doesn't look like it's a bit affected BLG's ability to field him. Knight will look to wave clear this. Needs to be afraid of the anti-stun, actually. One coming around the corner.
Right, now also looking here and there for stuff. Won't lead to too much more there, though. And Knight throws out his twofold Hex. Be the end of that.
Also, saying 111 is crazy. Well, FPX looked a lot better when they had Shadow on their roster, of course. The other thing about this, Shadow's playing against the team he was leading really earlier in the year. And now there were some rumors that he was looking to leave FPX even before BLG showed interest, so likely would have parted ways anyway due to whatever reasons. And of course picked up by BLG. Battle of the divorce, I suppose, between Jungle and FPX, although BLG have had that with a number of teams now at this point.
Yeah.
They've had that with Shun on JDG, who, of course, last split, Shun was actually very good versus BLG. JDG had a great winning record against BLG when they brought in Beitron. And Beitron versus TT at points too.
A note here, just we are getting ready for our next set of objectives. Note that Baron has spawned, that the Infinity Edge now done from Elk, who's gone towards Blade Ring King into Phantom Dancer. We've seen Elk really try to make the Kraken Slayer build work, that kind of AoE burst build with the Hurricane and stuff, and it's just not worked as the game's gone later. I think this is a lot more single target, a lot more safety, bloody a lot more burst.
And it has lifesteal.
Yes.
God, it has lifesteal. I feel like Elk, when he's been playing out the late game scenarios on the Yunara before, has really struggled to play things out while he gets poked a little bit and just can't play with any kind of sustain after that point. Kai'Sa has similar issues at points, but he's a little better at playing around that because she has a shield at least, right?
Yeah.
Going to be spotted walking into that Baron pit, but not starting it. Spotted leaving.
Yeah.
FPX not going to have to... Sorry, I thought you were going to say something because you took an intake of breath. It was like, so like, I'm going to let you speak.
I was waiting for you to be done.
Yeah, but I heard the intake of breath and I was like, now is your time to go, my child, my son, my brother. Speak your truth to the world, to the audience.
I was just gonna say that Jachi now the second. That's the one I'm looking for. Oh man, I'm just flubbing this now. Second.
I gave you your chance, Sam.
Second richest player on the Rift, despite starting the game 0-4. 0-4 this Varus started.
Sorry, that was actually really bad for real. Like I should probably just keep talking. And I misspoke a little. Baron, of course, that thing on the table, which you've been talking about before. BLG have those big items, power spikes onto their AD carry, but can they get a clean fight from Yunara? They don't have that much peel for the AD carry themselves. I think at this point, if the Yunara gets a clean fight, BLG clean up. However, you know, you have Equalizer on Varus, and you have the Vat Bard as well. Long-range threat. If Elk is caught out by that stuff, well, you can't cleanse an arrow, you can't cleanse the Equalizer.
Smite on the spell shield into the Cease and Desist. The Tempered Fate buys some time, but Jachi left very low care. Turning
Knight's
over,
down!
Shadow gets on as Knight is gone. Blown up. Sheer goes golden, but the needles are too early from Bin. Still brings down the Rumble, and the Arc of Ruin begins to fly from Elk, who has transcended themselves. Ends up being a 2-for-1. Knight got blasted. I was busy checking out Jachi, and Knight was just taken out on the other side.
Yeah, there are two really important plays to that. I think Jachi and Jway comboed up very well on the disengage. Flashback, Varasol, Bardol to make sure that Shadow was out of position and that the stasis was actually protecting Jachi. And then on the second side of it, yeah, JJ and Sheer destroying BLG as they tried to follow up. They were the ones doing the full contact team fighting. You jump on the damaging members to make sure that they can't finish off the pick. Elk, decent damage there, even with a single auto attack. Dragon has spawned. Shadow is dead, of course, but they can't capitalize because Elk is still around with those powerful items.
Doesn't have the ult to work with. Care does have stun and flash, but no Tibber's not on the longest cooldown, of course, at this point. Worth noting. Should be up pretty shortly. They're starting this one up. There's no smite on either side, but Hex Gates make this interesting. BLG, I don't know about this one. Shadow coming on over. Does have the blast gun. Can get into the pit. Down to 2,000 HP. Should be able to get a smite from Bard. Dway gets it. Over the wall they go. Don't know about that one, Jachi. But we're going to get that one to JJ. I do apologize. He's the one playing the Wukong. Now the return Hexgate.
Here we go, BLG. Can they find anything across this? Trying to play a bit of a vision trap. Ward goes down, then they'll spot them. Potential of Shadow coming forward. Has ult in 2 seconds. Can't quite find the angle. FPX. Daylight robbery there. Will take the dragon. And yes, Jway. I think Jway has had an awesome last couple of minutes. Awesome game so far. You know, the plays he had in top lane. Saving JJ when they killed off On and Knight in that side lane.
Yeah.
Stealing the dragon. Not stealing it, securing it rather. Protecting Jachi in that mid lane. This is why I just put Jway in my top 3 in supports. I think that Jway has been very, very cool to watch. And I think he's very savvy about how he moves around the map as well compared to some of our other more rookie supports. He's not a rookie, of course, been around for a little while. Right here, arrow comes through. Vi comes over the wall, and it's the Spellbook Smite which secures it. The lower value one, but gets it all the same. Throws up the Husky emote, and walks away happy.
That's sole point now for FPX, and they're in a pretty damn good spot. If we've had bright spots from FPX, it often has been their bot lane. And Jachi, again, started 0-4 this game. Right back into it, to say the least. I don't think this game, for all we've complained about the likes of Elk's late game Nymaera, it's not been about Elk messing up. He's actually played a pretty damn clean game. It's not really about Shadow on the whole. Yeah. For me, Knight, having started with such an insane, he's 1,000 gold up and has been next to useless over the last 10 minutes.
He has. His team fights have not been clean. Potential of Shadow jumping in for an ult. Magical Journey's gone. Potentially look to try and push that spell shield off. Catch onto the Shadow. No flash, just uses Q.
Could be in danger, but he's far enough away to be safe enough. Eats a lot of damage, though, from the Blight-empowered Q, courtesy of those Chains of Corruption.
Yeah, so now FX know that Shadow must clean up a jungle camp now for the extra lifesteal, the Omnivamp onto jungle stuff. They can start to do some Baron set. Oh, On gets a catch.
Nicely done. Turn that around. They blow up the Wukong. Does get traded out for it. On going for the 1-for-1. But the Smite being dead is important.
It is. Now, what's more important? Smite and Cyclone being down. Hang on, let's see if they can wait this out.
Care flashes away and Shadow's gone very deep. That one kind of sucks, but Jway is then traded. We end up with support jungles being traded in 2 different moments.
Watch. Both teams like, yes, it's my turn to go to Valhalla. See me into the halls of justice.
Bin's gonna try to. He just gets eaten by a bear. Stays alive for second 2, goes golden, but he's stood on a big old pile. Sheer will electro harpoon him, and it means it's another 1-for-1. Knight though tries to trade back. Jachi's go down, and all the while Nymaera gets to free fire, tanks up the turret, and kills that Rumble. Elk goes, I promise you, I really can play Nymaera.
Absolute cinema here in the LPL. Do I understand why the teams made the plays they did? No! No, I don't! Am I entertained? Absolutely yes, and Knight gets some Magice on the back.
No, you don't! Oh my god.
Well, look, guys, we have been slamming Knight for this game. Knight is 2.5k ahead. Maybe we're just not seeing it. Knight, he's so incredibly fed now. JJ is going to get caught up potentially, and he doesn't get the scuttle. He misses the smites.
Oh, JJ, not like this. It's supposed to be your debut. You were doing such a good comeback. Now Knight's looking at tip with a tempered fate. Magical Journey out, but that is going to be that big ultimate down. They can turn back towards the Baron.
I have no idea what's happened in the last 3 minutes of play. Pick attempts back and forth, dealing with the Vi by flashing away from it. I mean, JJ, can he get here in time? He's trying to flash Hex Gates over. They could just fly over, using the Cyclone to stop the Q.
On gets 2 from that, but he's going to die for it. No way! There goes Golden. Shadow fails to flash over the wall and burns It's an absolute mudbath. Welcome on in. As the pigs keep on wrestling, the farmers here, but some will be made more equal than others. Bin will go gold and Knight tries to Get to the wall, Dwayne, get to the pin, will surely get this one, he does! It has not been a good game from Knight, but he has had some good players, and suddenly 24 stacks on that prescient Medjai's buy.
Only Knight can have a game where we criticize him so heavily and say, screw you, gets a 24 stack Medjai's and an over almost a 4,000 individual gold lead. Do it like Knight. He shrugs off all the criticism, carries the fight, gets a huge triple kill, and BLG, I've no idea how they actually ended up in this situation in the first place. I think it starts with the Cyclone Black stopping the Q from Shadow. It stops him getting a good play into it. Shadow,
Fell splash.
he gets into a bit of an awkward spot there. Ults onto Care and then gets blasted. I think FPX have been dealing really well with the Vi on the whole. I think that, trying to take care of Care, I don't mind that. But Knight, Jesus Christ, the 3-man 2Q is absurd damage. Chases up for the final kill.
Yeah, it's what was required there to make things happen again. Knight, it hasn't, on the whole, been a good game from him, but he has still had his brilliant moments. This is the issues we've had with BLG. There have been some genuine superlative moments from the likes of from the likes of Knight. But then you also see some absolutely atrocious ones, and it makes it very hard to judge these players because it isn't just the highs, it's the lows that are going alongside them that makes this very tricky to judge.
FPX, I mean, credit to them, they've danced very well with BLG, but you can just see they're losing bits and pieces of gold across the map. Particularly Knight. Look, Knight has occasionally across his career had this tendency, not all the time, where he will just kind of play on his own little island, occasionally die for it, but still somehow get massive value. Compared to someone like Chovy, where he very rarely dies and he kind of slowly accrues that gold lead, Knight takes trades not unlike, say, someone like the Shy or the Baus or someone like that, who says, look, I might die for this, but if they don't kill me, it's huge value, and if they do, I'm still getting value, and he does that, by pushing in extra waves on side lanes, hitting turrets, and he rarely dies on a timing where he's punished by missing waves on the same kind of timing or something like that, right? At least when he respawns, he can catch a wave somewhere else.
Yeah.
And now at the point, that's happened so many times, he's now an incredible amount of gold up. He's about to get, I'd imagine he gets a death cap blast. He's going to have like a bajillion AP.
But it is the BLG bell curve, right? We're seeing great early leads into lots of mid-game throws, into the comeback late side with plays like that. On may well die, but I think he'll have done enough work on the back end of it. Though Knight got blasted by GA. There is a GA to allow GA to survive for a second or two, but there's still some more needles. It goes wide from Bin, and they'll still manage to get it because the Arc of Ruin comes on down. Dway is traded out as well. Ends up being, I think, a 2 for 2.
Yeah, Dway ended up catching Knight with the initial Bard ult, which allowed the pick onto him. He loses some Medjai stacks, but then with the assists after he dies, he ends up getting most of them back anyway. BLG take a 3 for 2 as mid lane and support go down, but BLG have the smite. Will they have it for much longer? Shadow's quite low here. Actually could kill with an ult.
Try and play it out. He does a lot of poke. That was good timing there. Yeah. You saw the observers playing with the vision. Will not secure it with the empowered Q, and of course I've seen a Varus or two do that in my time. Shout out to Gumayusi, you just seem to do it on repeat. But not this time, and BLG now back in command of this game. Souls in 2.5 minutes, but hey, is there another chapter yet to be written in this game? I just don't know yet.
So Knight used a lot of his ability, used his W, can't quite get out of the Bard ult. I think he thought he was going to be a little bit more safe. Q hits as well onto him. No, he wasn't used in the way that I thought it was, because I thought he catapulted himself back, was not to be the case there. It's a good pick on tonight, punching the flash, this Aurora. His team fights have been a lot less clean this game than we normally know from him. And I say that knowing how fed he is and how he got a triple kill in the last fight. Again, Knight, we expect him to just do ridiculous things. And in fairness now, he has a death cap. All it takes is one fight, and now Knight will just end the game.
Exactly that. And again, Elk also very clean. And probably Elk gets MVP this game, because he's the one who's not inted.
That's a very valid point. It might still be Knight for the triple kill around the Baron. Might still be. But the amount of flubs he's had in teamfights, perhaps not. Yeah, I think Elk has been the guy who's just been kind of... Weirdly, he's been the one picking up the pieces here. In a way which he actually has struggled to do so a lot of this split.
A lot of really good 1v1s. Has actually played the early game and the late game well. Especially looking at people... Said like Knight and on some fantastic engages and some awesome moments we go, oh, good God, that wasn't it. For FPX. You've still got a Giga-fed Varus who can do a lot of work. You've still got this Rumble as well. Sheer has been playing his heart out. Not talked about him too much, but the equalizers, the flame spitters have been really good. I just don't know whether the claw back in the mid game got them back to even it's just not been enough as the game's got later and yes, you've got Soul Point, but your chance of getting to that dragon now feel pretty narrow.
Rare good Sheer game. You know, sadly for this year, you're probably right. Sheer's actually had a good game, but he's struggled for a lot of... Hang on, Knight can... He can one-shot if you're not careful. I don't think the Q connected there, which saves... Jouet would have been a hell of a lot of damage. BLG taking another chunk there from Knight, who's just firing pot shots over the wall. He can hop over it now. Pharasol lands onto Shadow.
Gets onto 2, won't find too much more, but they will still blow JJ's flash. Care goes golden, and his immediate hit with an Arc of Ruin, which will take his head off.
FPX, they lose 1, and hang on a second, Elk feels a little bit more. He's got himself the G8. He has every right to feel a little bit confident here.
Stun does land that onto On, who's taken down about half HP. Elk no longer transcendent, but it's still pretty scary at this point on a Yunara, regardless. Well, it's purely off the items available. Going to reset here and try and come back out onto the Rift in time for Dragon. That's a bit of a greedy reset placement, though. I don't know about this. You don't have your jungler right now. Knight might look regardless. Will not hop across that wall.
FPX, they're left limping now. It was hard enough to fight back anyway. I think at this point where it felt like there are too many people you have to answer in team fights now. It's not that's onto the clone, actually. I thought it was onto the Nika themselves. JJ will jump back. Elk, oh my god, that's some damage.
Oh my days. Yeah, he hurts. We'll start Kanmei stepping and says, yeah, I am a full build Yunara at level 18. You don't enjoy this.
Dragon and Soul going over towards BLG because of the brute force of Elk. Forcing them out in mid lane. Baron was a 5k power play too. BLG, I mean, I suppose it's been a better late game than many for them recently. But then again, again, this is why it's hard to talk about BLG. BLG, in my eyes, are a team that should be winning championships here in the LPL, and they haven't done this year so far. And they've looked probably weaker than they've done all year in this split. I think this has been their worst split out of the 3, actually, all things said and done. I think
split 1, maybe?
No, I think that was split 1. Remember, it was... hang on a second, Kev's probably going to get obliterated. Redemption will save him. Sheesh. Close stuff, though. Forcing a flash out in the back way. There's no other follow-up, so it's going to be a lot of health off of Care, but he doesn't blow that flash. BLG...
Down his could be problematic.
Maybe it could be. They can punish him. I think Jouet's actually had a great game, by the way. I think this bard's been fantastic. It's not on him. His redemptions have been good. His bard also been fantastic at catching people out. Tower will die.
And you go to people like Jachi again, and we have to give credit for coming back from a horror start to the game. And it's still quite scary here on this round. If you can land a good poke, there aren't a lot of people here who would enjoy the poke. Again, you can heal, but a lot of it is...
Who does enjoy pokes, then?
Monday. Doesn't care.
True. Yeah, he really does. Someone like Rammus sometimes, because he just reflects it back to you occasionally. Mel, that's perfect. Mel, I mean, if you outrange her, no, she hates it, but occasionally she does. You know, one time I got the Kindred E reflected back to me.
Oh god,
and it did. I think it obliterated me on about 2 autos. I was like I was playing ARAM 13 stack Kindred because I play for stacks. And I killed myself in about half a second on Mel. It was really bad.
Oops.
Yeah, second only to when I... hang on a second. What up?
I just want to know, Elk's inventory, what do you think is missing? What has he picked up?
He has picked up a Hurricane.
Yeah.
And the Boots gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a lot of damage now on a... How are we at a 40-minute game, by the way, with BLG again?
That's a... oh my god. Folk, are BLG going to have to play out a 40-minute game again?
It's Elder in 4 minutes.
Considering that they are 10k ahead, ridiculously far ahead, it does still worry me that I still have to question now whether BLG will close again.
It's because they keep inting in random locations looking for big plays and dying doing it.
Yeah. I Ashe ulted myself because of Mel. That will occasionally happen. Mel is also one of the better laning answers into Ahri. Not good against Ahri 2v2 jungles. Because if there's a Wukong or a Vi, you die. But against the Ahri themselves, not fantastic. Fun tanks up the Bard stun. I mean, we are in a game where BLG are still very squishy, and there's any chance that, you know, even the 5k behind Annie, you land a good combo onto someone, there's a Varus arrow over the top, there's still someone dead, I think.
I want to recall that last time we saw Care win on the Annie, he was at 2 items at 40 minutes.
True! Oh my god, yeah! That was a thing, wasn't that Cream? Knight, Jarv just out on the ult this time from Jouet. Here comes on!
Oh, Pot Blossom across multiple members. The Equalizer is solid, but the health bars just look a little too low, unfortunately, for FPX as Elk and Knight continue to run rampant. The weirding comes on through. The team is blasted, and BLG get a clean fight where FPX find no more ashes to regenerate from.
It'll still take him over 40 minutes because this is the BLG we're accustomed to now. But they will fell FPX in game 1, take us to a 1-0 lead in our second series of the day.
In the end,
敌军还有30秒到达战场，碾碎他们。
Some level 1 shenanigans. Some wards put down on the bot brush. BLG did stack down there. Typically, you don't see stacks in double melee support lanes. Headbutt away. Ah, heal used to stop the Q landing. I think that's intelligent. If you get hit by that, you get hit by the Vigilance Light Slinger afterwards from the Lucian. Yeah, that's rough. That's rough. A little bit of damage coming from Jachi back onto On now. No heal, of course, now means that your trades at the early levels are kind of poor. We did say BLG, they need to win through laning phase. That's a pretty good way to help you do that, isn't it? Getting those summoners early. Hey, thanks for the stream streak there, Freg. Hope you're doing well. Freguson in over in Twitch chat has been actually now a pretty long-term supporter of the stream. And hang on a second, headbutt away. Freguson often someone that we touch base with what's happening on the Chinese side of the community. My volume was too low there, but did Dway use heal there? Yes. Yes, they did. Now actually On using it instead. I like this. You use the heal early in Lucian lanes because it activates his Vigilance passive. Heal Barrier actually gives you damage as Lucian because every time you're healed or shielded, you do get that extra damage on your next auto attack. Drop back from Sheer. Still, the Renekton getting that shove in. We did start that Q, but didn't get that shove, actually. Chose to... Ooh, wowie. I have to say, Elk's Lucian is one of his best champions as well. I think Elk's champion pool has often been something he's been criticized for. Remember when it was earlier in the year when he was playing Tristana in Game 4, Game 5, and getting really destroyed? Why did he use it? He used the heal at level 1 before the wave came in because he wanted to dodge a Braum Q because Lucian would have been able to follow up with extra auto attacks, and that probably would have been either a lot of HP or a flash blown. Shadow jumping in towards the enemy lane now. Talia has shove, not able to contest the Raptors. Bot and mid both shoved in. Shadow going around the back of the lane now. Braum's walking up. Knight... Ah, you need to be careful here, actually. Jada's going to walk around. Needs to be careful. Who's he going to walk towards? Knight just might die here. Good flick back, gets a stun. Might have just saved his life, actually. Q missing. Is anyone else going to be able to walk up? There is a ward in that brush. Good QW onto Knight. Potential. The flash over the QW lands, though. Cat dies to the red buff. Shadow gets first blood, and despite the early play... very nearly falling apart for BLG as Knight gets jumped on by Jerjet. Shadow is the beneficiary, and also an assist going over towards On as well. Knight will recall, come back into lane with a tear. Kara's died as well. Mid lane matchup is still very even. It feels really bad for Jerjet, who I think read the early play quite well there, actually. Just Knight ended up outplaying just a little more. I wonder whether Jerjet should have flashed the flick back, but if you flash there, then maybe you get caught into the shins out. Difficult decision-making flowchart, really. Was the threat that high? Honestly, Lucian Braum level 1 threat is ridiculously high. Especially when they have the heal barrier. For those of you, again, that don't quite... Hang on a second. Bot back, not quite hit with that shit. It's not quite hit. That's annoying. Oh, the shot goes on to bin. Yeah, so for those of you that don't understand the threat of early Lucian Braum. Now, it used to be the case that... there was a point where Lucian was played only in solo lanes. He was a top lane menace, a mid lane menace for many years. From, say, I don't know... When was he mid lane meta? 2018, 2019, 2020. All along those kind of eras, right? And then all the way up until I would say about 2022, was it, when the changes came through? Lucian was made to be more of a bot lane carry again by saying, okay, you're going to have less damage and less base stats, but your auto attacks will deal more damage when you are healed or shielded. That was the change. And that's when the Lucian Nami came through, where Lucian would get huge bonuses from Nami, given the Tidecaller's blessing onto him, and stuff like that. Hang on, good trade as the bot side. On does have flash. He might just go down anyway, though. Tries to get another passive down. Can't quite do so in the Lucian Braum. We were just talking about the power of it. Well, gets blasted there as On goes way too far forwards. Good catch out by Joy and Jachi. Yeah, so the idea is that, you know, over time, he's been made into someone that is buffed up by people around him. He gets 2 parts to his passive now. His double tap when he casts a spell, and extra damage when he hits targets which have been, after he's been healed and shielded. And then after a while, because he was only played with really Nami and Milio, it was said, okay, if someone is hard CC'd around him, he'll also get that bonus damage, or even just regular CC'd. So,
Now, when Braum jumps to him, the stand behind me gives him a bonus. When you run heal and barrier, they both give him a bonus to his next 2 auto attacks on the vigilance. And then when the Braum Q and the stun lands, it also gives him extra stuff there too. So Lucian Braum, which was a combo played with at the start of Braum's career, actually, back in 2014 Worlds. It was Lucian Braum, disgusting kill angles. We used to see Lucian to proc his passive very quickly. That's still the case. The double tap procs the Braum passive very quickly. But now there's an extra bunch of bonuses too. Kill sadly went over to Dway in that lane, but anyway, that's your stuff from that. Okay, Dragon started up on trying to apply passive. Could potentially be a combo onto him. Lucian coming back into lane now. Von has the shield, dashes backwards, try to clear that ward, jumps to Shadow, jump forwards from JJ, trying to catch out the flash. This Braum, the shockwave is dodged away from the Shadow, gets out, Knight ulting into the play. On might die, but what is the return? Damage on, he's still escaping, goes out to a last auto attack, but it's a 1-for-1. Jachi trying to get the Valkyrie aggressively for the burn. Damage, and it works. The Trail of Fire gets great damage down, but the Shinzao is so disgusting in these early skirmishes. Gets another bit of damage down. Knight doesn't have the mana to really get that much extra done. Shag kill onto Shadow, and I think Knight might have to turn tail, trying to turn things around with the extra auto attack. Does he have presence of mind or something like that to get himself some extra mana? He doesn't have mana for a Q, but he has the flick back. Oh, Knight, that's incredible. The flick back onto 2, escaping with so low HP. Knight, an incredible Talia play. Oh my word. I thought Knight's only moved in L's. Instead, he's handing them to them. FPX see 2 kills go over to the Talia, and FPX just gets styled on by Knight. Jesus Christ. We'll go back into this replay. So, Braum is really good early skirmishes. So is the Pantheon, so is the Pantheon and the Shinzao. It's a lot of early game carries going at it here. Knight gets back into a good position, starts to throw those Qs around, gets some worked ground down. I think this Valkyrie is very, very good from Jachi, though. Does get a ton of damage down. Problem is it leaves him too close to the Shinzao. Everyone's running very close on their mana as well. Watch as we get later into this. We saw just the other day, Shy have a 0 mana play to basically see things out. Look how little mana he has. 40, trying to get things through. Only has enough mana for the flick back, and it saves his life. Oh god, Knight, that is a hell of an outplay. Oh, that is disgusting. What an outplay from Knight. 1,000 gold ahead now. Has the Dark Seal on back, has the tier 2 boots. Knight is one of the best Talia players in the world. Just look at the way that he weaved in and out of that fight and put his ult in the right place, consistently doing damage, using the full breadth of his mana and HP bar. This is why I love watching Knight, when he's at his best, of course. Now, BLG, they're a 9-3 team versus a 1-11 team, but lots of questions about BLG, and Jeja coming in to replace many players now into the jungle role. It's a bit of a revolving door, that one. JJ actually made it out that last player live, of course. Holy crap. Oh, don't you just love watching players like that? Folks, just sit back and enjoy the cinema. Now, are there going to be mistakes made in these games, as we saw in that last game? Yes, but that shouldn't diminish your enjoyment of it. Level 6 coming in towards bot side. There's no cleanse on El. El's going to cut him off. Oh, he's left under tower. There's a teleport coming in from the Talia. That's going to be an all-out potentially out of turret, and yes, it is. However, the Talia's coming in now. Do they have enough CC? There's no flash on the Pantheon. The flickback won't do damage, but it will stick him in place. Shadow could potentially lead the fight in. The all-out is still running from the Cassante. He's actually quite scary when he's in that form. Knights seeing them off. It's going to be a 1 for none. What's happening with the rest of the map? Well, Redactor's pushing against the Orianna. I think it's just 1 clean kill and out. Kill went towards Sheer. Dragon now taken as the prize from BLG. I can't believe we've had, like, 2 0 mana outplays in the same week. That kind of stuff normally doesn't happen. So many players are so reticent to try and do something like that. Is it recalcitrant? Reticent, I think is the word. Maybe both, actually. Dragon goes to our BLG. So fun to watch, though. People say, yep, no. The extra auto attack, the last skill, we can make it work. Credit to Jachi, though. I think his early game's fantastic. Said that, the Culling's coming down. Can they get themselves another thing on the Braum passive? No. Great damage back onto him. Q over the wall from On. Very impactful there. Of course, the Braum in his early game. Very powerful. Over the wall goes Chwei. I don't really follow up with Jachi being that low HP, though. Knight is the one member of BLG that just never stopped being elite. I think Knight is a generational player. I think if Knight ends his career without a Worlds win, it will be a tragedy. However, that's just the nature of things, you know. JGG 2023, BLG in 2024 is, I think that Knight, up until this MSI, was on a streak of being top 2 mid laner in the world at every single international event he'd been to since 2023. If you think of 23 MSI, best mid laner at the event. I think Worlds 23, I think he was second best potentially. I think you go through to MSI 24, second behind Chovy. Chovy, obviously a distant first, but he was still second there. You go through to Worlds 24, I think he was just the best player at the event, folks. You know, having that kind of streak of form is ridiculous. Now, I think that when you come around to MSI this year, yeah, I think you probably do put a couple of other mid laners ahead of him. I think he tilted quite a lot. I don't think he was that impactful. You know, having 2 straight years of being top 2 in his role in the modern era of League with players, you know, like Faker at Worlds, with Chovy in there too, it's a hell of a statement to make. Glacial Fissure in the mid lane. Ult coming through from the Alistair. Will be able to stick around for an actual kill here. Quite hard to do so. Stun coming through. Good damage onto the Shadow. Still has himself Crescent Guard. No one actually ends up dying. Elk will clear through the rest of this mid wave. So he was the absolute best at Worlds 24 is what you mean? I think he was. I think he was. I think that, you know, you look through the average of the event, you know, Knight destroyed Zeka in the semifinals on getting that shield up. There's no one to really jump to here. Does have Flash, though. He's holding onto it for a very long time. JJ flashes forwards. JJ finding out Knight. He'll be able to jump over the wall, but Jachi is following him. Where's that fast bomb? Comes through. One last bit of damage will all be needed to take him down. But now, following Knight, they've been left in the pit. Bin is here, and here's his domain in this little river. The Crocodile taking down 2. On the other side of the fight, though, Shadows also died on, did die 2. Ends up being, what, 3 for 3 overall. Jachi having an awesome game on this Corki. I think he's been fantastic here. Bin does get himself 2 kills from that play, though. Perhaps he, on the Renekton, can start to pick up some more pace in this game. Before this point, I think actually the Cassandra had way more value than him. Jeja jumps out of Fog of War. Again, the new jungler for FPX coming in pretty high value here. Knight choosing just the wrong angle there. Bin comes in from the wrong angle. He teleports in, but he teleports too far away. I think if he teleported into that control ward and that brush, I can't remember when that was put down. Perhaps that would have made the difference. Jashi getting a second kill there. Credit to him for getting something else out of that. How do you think Knight's legacy compares to somewhat like Doonby's? Is this Shadow the Mad Lion Shadow? Yep, you know, this is the very same. This is the very same. Flick back in the jungle. Pantheon going to open up another angle, though. Going to go into the middle of the fight. Glacial Fissure's not bad, and Elk and Knight are doing some decent damage here. There's decent damage back onto Knight himself. There is a Shockwave coming up in the next few seconds, but I don't know if the fight's going to last long enough for that. Chachi jumping forwards again. Shockwave is good. Hits Knight, hits Shadow. Both of them taken back down into the fight, and Chachi keeps to use that early power of the Corki. BLG get caught over long in there. Okay, good Shockwave back into the play. Yeah, going back to that question, how does Knight's legacy compare to someone like Doonby? Well, obviously Doonby ended up getting the world's title, which is huge for him in the eyes of like the Chinese community. And even before that, Doonby, the super carry Doonby, lasted 1 or 2 years before and after that. I think he was quite clearly, you know, top tier in LPL for a very long time, the dark technologies. I think he had a lot of character to his play. I do think that Knight has had a far higher peak than Doonby, though, in terms of overall play. I think, sadly for Knight, it's just been an era of Chovy. In some ways, that's great, right? It's the Rafa Nadal, Federer kind of thing, right? Where both of them exist at the same time. Messi, Ronaldo, I suppose, too. Many such kind of duos of great sports people kind of pushing each other to greater heights. I think, personally, I think Knight has had higher levels of form. I think that when he was winning his titles, he was just so bluntly so far ahead of his next in role. When you look at MSI 23 as well, what an impressive tournament he had. The second jump forwards into the jungle again. Flick back onto JJ. Didn't spot Knight over the wall there because he was, well, off of vision, wasn't he? Elk gets... Oh, he jumps into Balrage. Oh, Elk, what have you done? Roadkill in the jungle. Jumps into the oncoming mechanical ball. Knight doing extra damage, but Elk, a huge mistake there, jumping into melee range. And the Shockwave after big mistake from the AD carry of BLG. And suddenly On will go down as well. Folks, dare I say it, bot diff is coming through from FPX. Jachi is 7-2 and 4 on the goddamn Corki. Chicken Jachi. I gotta stop saying that. Riding his poultry steed into battle. Roadkill in the jungle. I'm sorry. What else are you gonna call an elk which has been hit by an oncoming bus of an Oriana ball? Maybe it's a path through the forest. Who are you to know? Dragon started up by BLG now. God, this has all been about early skirmishes, hasn't it? The Pantheon, the Xin Zhao, the Alistair, the Braun, they're all so good at finding random picks like this. This is going to be a bit of a flip. Elk is back into the play. We're getting down to a smite fight. It's won by the Xin Zhao. Glacial Path, rather. Doing a good job there. The Fissure. The Crescent Guard, not bad either. Knight is stuck behind his front line, and that's a good thing. Bing goes into the front line too. You don't have the Shockwave just yet. A couple of seconds off it, and Knight is going to force Care into a hard decision. Who does he Shockwave? Might need to get that onto Care, onto Knight, and does so, but the slow lands anyway. Great play from Knight to make sure that Care blows his own flash. Bin, does he flash forwards? No. Elk jumping forwards onto Jachi. I don't know if he wins that play, but Braun will help even it up in the 2-for-1. Knight and BLG getting a good trade from that. And Dragon goes down in their favor. They do walk away the better from the play. Jachi Love, exactly. Jachi Love, that's another good one. He's had a great game here. The Corki drops eggs. Yeah, it does. Payload coming inbound. Jet does have flash. Elk does as well. Flash in for the knockup, and that'll probably be a dead Lucian, question mark. Flash forwards for the W. And Elk oversteps. A poor game from the Lucian here. The laning phase was okay for a while, but he's been picked off. Team fighting and positioning quite poorly. Elk. These team fights have left a lot to be desired, and is now stretched into his mid lane play here too. That leaves an opening for FPX to go towards the Herald. They were not expecting that Pantheon angle. Herald, the Pangle, as we call it. Luciant. Yep. There's a at the end there. Herald picked up for FPX, and credit to them. FPX have been contesting with BLG in the early game, despite... hang on a second. Jachi has flash, has barrier. Jumping forwards. Jachi trying to play around the blast cone. There will be another ability to jump forwards. He might need... I don't know if he gets out of this, folks. Shockwave gets some value down, but Jachi, after all we've just been praising you for, you int by recalling next to a Xin Zhao. 2 dead for FPX. BLG will walk forwards with a numbers advantage. We'll push forwards a wave in that top side. Oh, BLG. They get away with one a little bit there. Sheer might be able to bop him back under the turret. How much wave clear can get? A little bit, but not before the tower goes down. Sheer now 1.4k behind Bin. Ults into the mid lane. Elk takes a solo top lane turret. That is so sad. Chicken Jachi's eggs are cooked there a little bit. The eggs are well and truly scrambled. Well, can't make an omelet without breaking a few eggs, I suppose. It's been a good game besides that one play from him. It's going to be really... that's going to really annoy me, because I actually think he was in a fantastic spot before that point. Let's check down the full items and gold lead. Top side, huge advantage for BLG. Bot side, bot lane, still very much in the advantage. Jachi, my dude. At least flash out of the W, so he doesn't have the extended dash range. And then the wards are put onto the blast cones. They can't hit that one to disengage the play either. Shockwave's not bad from Care, but, I mean, realistically, the damage is done. At least managed to stick around to... Jedge on the back end of that too. Dragon not up yet. And let's return back to that bot lane play. A bot lane lead. 2,000 gold. Upgraded boots, second item. Almost completed here from Jachi. About to upgrade the Muramana. Make no mistake, even though he did die in that last play. Muramana now 19 minutes in. Hell, that's nasty. Gonna drive the Herald away from the scene of the crime. Can he drive all the way towards bot lane? Not sure, actually. Drop it towards bot side. It does kind of use it as a kind of rotationary device. Not going to be able to charge it all the way in. I think Herald, it's much harder to charge it from outer to outer now. You can do inner to inner. FPX is awful. They're inting so much, but their comp is better in the late game. That's what we were saying too. We were saying that, you know, the laning phase from BLG, they have good lanes against all of these lanes, really. I mean, besides maybe mid lane, but it is Knight on Talir, so you give them the benefit of the doubt. So surely BLG will just win through early game. Well, they're only, you know, a little bit ahead now, comparative, all in top side and not in bot lane at all. Eventually, you know, FPX, they're going to have really good anti-melee disengage ability. Cassante presses W. bop some people back, stop them following up on Care onto Judge, perhaps even JJ as well, protect their jungler. Not always going to be the strongest front line as this Pantheon if he's caught out in the wrong way. Shockwave does similar, the Alistar ult does similar. JJ clutches these, speaking from experience. Well, he was pretty damn clutch on IG. The problem was, yeah, I mean, the synergy wasn't quite there. Pantheon, coming in for a big ult. Oh, let's see if that clutch comes through. Glacial Fissure, not going to land the knock-up. Knock-up from tonight comes back in the other way. So ult for ults, nothing really gained there. Trading of abilities. Now Elk is much safer to walk up in mid lane, so the Pantheon ult is down. Teleport in from Braum. BLG not wanting to give control over this Atacon if they can help it. Clearing out the vision that was put down. Not using that sweeper. Not catching all the wards, though. There's still one on that bot side. Dragon now starting, of course. Both objectives now on the bot side of the map. Sheer has teleport. Will this be a contest? You giving over the Hex point? I don't know if that's fantastic. Might try and steal it with a big one. Close. Smite wasn't fantastic there from Shadow. Atacon available. Jeje. Not sure about that one, but he doesn't put up the E in time. And Jeje, his first series for FPX has had a few errors in it. Despite him having a good couple of moments on the Wukong and this Pantheon combined, the Atacon now going to get started with no Smite. You got to imagine BLG will take this uncontested. Pulling it over. This is something which Carmine Corps have really showed off in the EU leagues. Jumping forward. Shadow gets the knock up here. We're coming forwards with a follow-up too. The wall traps them into the play. They're trapped in there with the Atacon and with the rest of BLG's members. Sheer does manage to pick up one, but it's only the support. I don't think it's going to make much of a difference. Sheer tries to get some damage back onto Elk. Will pop the barrier. Perhaps a little too far from him. Atacon to BLG. No win this time. Take down the jungler easily, as Jeje does in fact not clutch those. FPX, they're actually in a not a bad spot before that point. Losing the jungler before such a critical objective. Jachi flashed onto, knocked up. I don't really think he should have been walking up that far either. Jachi, a player who's got so much of an early game advantage, with such a great amount of items, punished so heavily by Shadow there, who's had an okay series. It's been better than some he's had recently. Back into live now. Medjai's, of course, picked up by Knight, by the book. Knight taking enemy Raptors because he can. I think the Ryalize is really nasty versus their team too. You're not exactly going to be able to one-shot the K'Sante or the Pantheon anyway. If you can keep them trapped into the play though, helping Renekton stick to them, Shinzao, the Ryalize has a lot of value. And the Medjais can pick up some damage which you would lose by, you know, not going Leandries in this case. Care is going to pull the Shockwave. I was actually wondering if he could do that for the two-man to the front line, take a chunk out of them. It's not like there's much else to fight around right now. Choosing not to, though. Finn on the flank. Got to clear away that ward. Use a quick W. Glacial Fissure trying to force out the Alistar ultimate, perhaps. Not able to do so. The Locket tanks some damage. Using the heal is on. I guess he's got a spellbook thingy to use at some point. Bad late gaming will soon show up. Well, it's 24 minutes. That being said, they have Soul on the horizon. Morning. Morning, Habsrock. How's it going? Well, first game of the series was kind of absolute cinema. It doesn't really look like a 1-11 team versus a 9-3 team. It looks a lot more even than that. But still, BLG, Knight got MVP despite inting most of the game, but having a magnificent triple kill towards the late game. In this one, I think Knight's early game has been stunning on the Taliyah. Knight's Taliyah, one of the very best in the world. I think he might be the best Taliyah in the world, you know. I think he might be. He's up there. It's either him or Chovy, right? But I think... Or BDD. All three of them. Fantastic, obviously. Yukal also fantastic at it. There's the Season 8 guy to do that. Great damage on Stray. That... Freaking hell. You forget how much damage Shinzao can do. Has a BF sword in inventory too, going towards a Guardian Angel at some point. BLG do need to be a little careful taking fights up here. They don't have teleport on Renekton if they do need to call for his assistance. The 5-kill Renekton has been very good at cleaning up some bits and pieces of fights. Game's slowed down a little bit now. Minotaur Dragon, that's what BLG is setting their sights on, presumably FPX as well. I was wondering whether FPX would look for a pick around about, you know, now, because death time is ultimates being down, stuff like that. Matter right now. Jachi, still 2,000 gold ahead. Will he have a clean fight for once? Well, he just got hit by a Q there. Just turn some damage around. Going onto the Pantheon. Oh, not pulled from the Alistair just yet. Trying to save it for as long as possible. The Cullen goes into, you just saw Bin on a great angle. We'll find out the Alistair. That is a teleport from the Cassante, and he'll try and tank his way through as much as possible. I think Sheer might just make it out alive. Bin, 4-man Q. Good chunk onto them. No kills, though. HP advantage massively in favor of BLG now. They lose the Alistair ult, lose the Pantheon ult, full reset. Can they come back in time for the Dragon? BLG, you should be doing this on spawn, folks. Do it on spawn. Come on. They want to push out mid lane. I think they should be doing this right now. Teleports back into the play. I wonder whether they could have taken this down quick. Whatever. Okay, looks like it will come down anyway. Dwayne not having time to switch over to a spell, but can they steal it with the... Nope, can't steal it with the shockwave. Just wondering about that. Flash forwards, catching out Knight, trying to punt him back into the play, but Knight flashed that anyway. And Dwayne, that was a one-way trip. No Dwayne home for him. 2 for BLG already, and looking for more. The phase rush from Care will see him to safety. Can't do that much towards Beard, will it? Well, the rest of the team, they don't have that same safety. A double flick back from Knight. A flash forward from Elk. Care left alone as the last member to fall. BLG will take themselves the soul. A clean fight on the bot side. And this should be probably the road to the end of the game. They can go towards the Baron. Take that one cleanly. There will be no contest. JJ, I suppose he could head over in 10 seconds and try and get that, get a sneaky smite. I don't think he's going to be even alive for it, though, will he? Even with the Hexgate's Bin not there at the play. Doesn't need to be. Takes an inner turret because why not? Gets himself over 3,000 gold ahead. A much cleaner teamfight game from Bin than we've seen from him recently. Baron on 5, a reset, and FPX left limping after that play. Dre tries to go for a fancy knockup. Does manage to get a good play in. Shockwave punts him back into position to get headbutted back, but just don't quite have the damage. Jachi a little bit late to the play. Tries to jump in to kill him. Has to flash out. Suddenly, you know, the Corky's out of position. No extra damage from him. And Hex Soul. What a thing. Random damage onto the red buff ends up linking onto each of them. Hex Soul from that Braum Q as well. Just so many slows. So much extra damage. This is why Hex Soul is known as that game-ending buff. You can't escape from losing fights anymore. Is that JJ, the former world champion? Yes, yes, it is. Funnily enough, his understudy in Junjia is on CFO, Flying Oyster. CTBC Flying Oyster, that's their full title. 10,000 gold lead for BLG now. Hex Soul, surely unlosable at this point. This game's been a lot better in the late game. Oh, that's a nasty culling. 19 stacks on the Medjais, by the way, for Knight. Never a one to go somewhere without some light reading. Big Way heard you all joking about having a bad late game, said can't have that. Well, game 1 still took 40 minutes to close. I will just throw that out there, which you probably shouldn't have done. Ooh, Hex Soul. Pantheon going about the place. Knight's coming in. That's it's not too bad, actually. Jumps onto the Lucian, but there's no follow-up. No one else can follow up for that kill. Pantheon goes down. Sadly, JJ, his first series here with FPX will be pretty dismal loss for them, particularly in the second game. Shadow has a GA. He can tank this for as long as he wants. Doesn't even need to use it. 4 dead. BLG still with the Baron for a minute. This will be the end of the game. 3 grubs, a Hex Soul, Baron. Every objective you would like. BLG. Game 1, perhaps not the way they would have wanted it to go, but game 2, much more certain. Clean plays from Knight on the Talia, amongst many others. BLG will 2-0 the bottom team in Group Ascend and see themselves to 10-3.